The Dark Child, Chance Crawford, NWA National Heavyweight Champion. This is the Temptation, Sean Tempers.
This is Jacoby Boykins, a.k.a. the Alabama Ambassador, Mr. 256.
This is the Bee's Knees, the Cats Pajamas, and the whole shebang. Johnny Gargano.
This is Bill Behrens, and you're watching, you're listening, you're experiencing Beyond Ringside. And you are a better person for it. Trust me.
Hi there, this is Sammy Hagar here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for roads.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff.
It feels good to be back. Greetings, good evening, how you doing? Welcome to your home for wrestling, mixed martial arts, sports talk, and a whole lot more. This is Beyond Ringside, live from the Vault in the Full Range Entertainment Studios in beautiful Birmingham, Alabama. Yours truly, the Magic City Motor Mouth, Fast Eddie Lane, welcoming in tag team partner, the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis.
Ladies and gentlemen, how is everyone doing this week? We lost a legend, an absolute legend in this business this past Thursday. Myself, the Prime Minister Payne Johnny Slaughter, the Subconscious Samurai Damon Christopher, and Lord Grimm on our way back from the wake of the one and only Brad Armstrong, who had the greatest mullet in the world. Heck of a showing. Total respect from everybody there.
Thank God.
A lot of people put their differences aside. There was nobody fighting, thank God. But you know, it is what it is.
You know, while you're thinking about everybody putting their differences aside, one thing that comes to my mind was the blog that Jim Ross put up in memoriam to Brad when he was having a conversation with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Austin was bestowing the virtues of Brad, saying that and he kind of pulled back the curtain a little bit, kind of broke the line. But who's going to tell Austin that? He's larger than this business, and he's also a millionaire actor. But until WrestleMania, when he becomes a millionaire wrestler again. Steve Austin, CM Punk. What's the odds? What do you think? I think it's going to happen. What about you? Nah, it could never happen. But Austin was making the reference and the comments to the fact of how smooth Brad was to work with in the ring. He always looked out for everybody. And I had the conversation, amazingly enough, with a friend of mine a couple of Saturdays ago with Global Championship Wrestling in Pell City for Fall Brawl. And I made the statement, very point-blank clear. I said, you know, out of all the people in this industry that I've worked with, I can't think of anybody, I can think of very few people, I'll put it that way, that nobody ever has anything negative to say about. I mean, I know people say negative stuff about me, yay, all right, spell my name right, I don't give a rat's rump. But by the same token, I do everything I can to keep my name in a positive light. But by the same token, the entire Armstrong family has just made it seem so effortless. I've never heard anybody say anything negative about working with Bullet Bob, with Steve, with Scott, with Brian, and definitely not with Brad. I mean, everybody has always been super complimentary. So I imagine when you make the statement that people put their own personal differences aside, that's what they were. Because I've never known anybody to say a negative word about Brad. I've known most of the Armstrongs since the mid-'80s when I first started in this industry. And when I got the word that Brad passed, it's like somebody just took a 20-pound sledge and pounded me in the gut with it. It's like, holy nuts. Because, I mean, you said it beautifully in your own inimitable fashion on Twitter when you first found out about it, Wick.
The Armstrong family is one of those families that you know, they went out of their way to make you feel at home. If they gave a shit about you, they didn't care about you, then I'm telling you right now, first of all, you've done something wrong. Second of all, they saw talent. They saw when guys worked their butts off, when guys did what needed to be done and what was best for the business, the Armstrongs were always there to say, hey, good job, kid, or to tell you what you did wrong. We had this exact conversation last week about true veterans in the business,
yeah,
and the entire Armstrong family are one of them. I've heard negative things about him, heard negative things about everybody. But the thing about it is who they come from, the source of the people saying that. That's the difference.
Well, before I go, wait a minute. I was about to send out a shout out in one person's direction. However, welcoming in, I'm hoping we are, tag team partner Mark Mabo Bowman. Mabo, how you feeling, man?
Like crap.
We were about to send get well wishes out your way. Mark sent me a text a little while ago, said that he was probably not going to be on with us tonight because his real life schedule has thrown him for a loop and he wasn't feeling too hot today. But I'm glad to see you're feeling well enough to call in, even if it's only for a couple minutes, man.
Well, I didn't know if we had touched on the Brad Armstrong situation.
We're actually talking about it right now, and I'll turn the floor over to you for a second.
Well, oh God, you guys just have to bear with me. For those of you who don't know me, listen to the show that I work for, Target. This is not a cheap plug for them, but they've switched our schedule over from a daytime to an overnight, and seeing as how I hadn't worked overnight in 4 years, my body just finally collapsed this morning, and you guys know my penchant for talking about my anus and the various liquids that shoot out of it, but it's really hit me pretty hard. It's hit me really hard today, and no wicked. It's not Ann Heche's butthole. It's Mabo's butthole right now. But
is it a leather Cheerio? Your leather Cheerio is hurting.
No, it's my dirty sheriff's badge.
Your dirty sheriff's badge.
Yes, but not to take away from the man it's Brad Armstrong. Whether you knew him as Candyman or Bad Street, Buzzkill, B.A.
Arachnaman.
Arachnaman,
that was my favorite. He was a hell of a guy. To me, never got the true credit he deserved for being, in the pro wrestling industry. Was, I guess, I don't know if you could say it was definitely one of the forebears of what became, the cruiserweight industry or the cruiserweight division. But met him on several occasions. The first wrestling that I ever saw growing up was, believe it or not, it was not WWF, it was not NWA, it was Continental. And, him and along with the other Armstrongs were the first ones that I, ever saw and, captured my imagination. It wasn't, Hulk Hogan or Junkyard Dog at first. It was the Armstrongs. And when I got the news, what was it, Eddie, Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday.
Yeah, when I got the news, when I pulled it up on one of the websites, I was just like, no. And 51 years old, dude. That's, by today's standards, that's fairly, I'm not gonna say young, but that's definitely not old considered by today's standards. And but I met him on a couple of occasions, but one of the ones that stands out to me was as you guys know, Eddie works for Global Championship Wrestling here in Alabama, and one time I was at a show and the management of GCW asked if I would, because they've known me for years and they trusted me. They asked me if I would run the merch table for them that night, and I said, yeah, sure, no problem. And of course, Will Owens brought over, I don't know how much stuff, and sold probably zero of it because nobody wants anything from Will Owens, not even his old lady. But they brought some masks over that the Bullet had was bringing in. And so I was sitting there selling everything, and there was a lull, and Brad Armstrong came over, sat down at the table next to me. He was signing autographs, and this was a guy, like I said, I grew up watching, and I was just, I wasn't nervous, but I wasn't going to sit there and bug the man. He was there to do business and meet the fans and everything, and I was just I'm not going to say hired help, but just over there. And so during a lull, he just kind of looks over and just starts talking, asks me how I'm doing, how's everything going. Didn't even ask if anything about the show or anything. It was more like, hey man, is everything going all right? I was like, well, yeah. And we just started talking, and he was a hell of a guy. And you know, I told him, I was like, hey man, I grew up, you know, watching you and your dad and your brothers, and you know, I thanked him. And I was like, you know, I told him even back then, I was like, you know what, you never really, you know, I don't think you got the credit you deserved in this business from overall. You know, there's a lot of people who never got this really, you know, the Brad Armstrong experience. So, but and one of the finest mullets ever in the world. I will say that about Brad Armstrong. He had one of the finest mullets. And I told my buddy Jeff, you know, when I sent him the message about it, you can gauge the amount of respect one has these days, one has in the pro wrestling industry by when someone passes what people say on Twitter.
Yep.
And, you know, of course, Facebook, but on all social media. With Brad, you know, when some people pass, it was like, oh, sorry to hear the passing, or you know, blah blah blah, so young, you know, just whatever. But to sit there and see the outpouring from everyone from the top of the WWE all the way down to your local guys, and just people had story after story. Chavo was like, or Chavo Guerrero Jr. made mention of his first trip to Japan. Brad Armstrong took care of him, showed him the ropes. You know, all the guys that, you know, that are coming up through FCW, and you know, they mentioned, you know, how much Brad taught them. Even a couple of divas and stuff mentioned how much that Brad had taught them and you know, showed them the ropes and everything. So that speaks, you know, volumes not only for him, but it speaks volumes for his family name. And in all my years, I've never once heard anybody speak ill of Brad Armstrong. And like I said, it was just tragic, and it was too soon. And, you know, thoughts and prayers go out to the entire Armstrong family and those who were close to Brad. So,
you know, I've got to say this real quick, and Wick, I'm going to bring you back in on that point that you were making on Twitter about being spot on. Still, very much so. You know, we talk about situations where I keep a scrapbook on a lot of the stuff that I've done over the years in and out of various industries, whether it be DJing, whether it be as a photographer, whether it be in radio, nightclubs, wrestling, and I keep that running scrapbook. And I've lost part of it when my parents' place was damaged in the Palm Sunday '94 tornadoes. We took a lot of water damage, and a lot of my photographs took damage. So there's a part of my life and memorabilia that is gone forever. But there were a couple of things that did make it, and that's because they weren't with everything else. There was a show back in the later 80s that I worked with Steve and with Brad. And my parents genuinely enjoyed watching Bullet Bob and Brad, and actually one of the few shows that my parents actually came to watch, most of the family was there. Bullet, Steve, Brad, they were all on this one particular show. And I introduced because my dad asked, mom asked, you know, actually I offered, and they said sure. And from that vantage point, I went ahead, when I had the pictures done, had a picture of myself and Brad and a picture of myself and Steve that I had in part of my stuff. My parents had taken those pictures out and had them framed and put up on their wall in their house. It's like, wow, okay, it's not just that it's a picture of me that they're putting up, they're putting the picture of me and them up. So it's like, and I reminded Brad this last Saturday at the show about that shot, and when he met mom and dad, and he said, and he just had this look on his face of just, I made the wall. And he asked me, you know, he knew mom had passed, and he asked me how dad was doing, and we spoke for a little while. And it's funny because as hustled and rushed as everybody was that day, you know, he still had a couple of minutes to sit back and chit chat and reminisce, and I enjoy it. Same thing, Bullet did that later in the night when we were outside smoking. I think it was our 83rd cigarette each. But And then, you know, you have that moment where it's just like, and then all of a sudden Thursday hits and here comes the brick wall. And it's like, I'm glad I at least had a chance to have that conversation with him. It's almost like early closure, even though it's never really that way. But it just makes you miss that person that much more because, like I said, myself and Brad, you know, we've broken bread together on more than one occasion over the years. And, of course, having partaken every once in a while back in those days of a nice, cool, refreshing beverage, I'll leave it at that. But he was always a very super cool character. But I just wanted to share that particular moment right off the top. And it's like he just had that look on his face like, I'm still on the wall? I made the wall. Hey! So, but Wicked, like I said, and Brad at 51 years of age, a lot of people are back and forth as far as their health goes. Everybody knew Brad had leg trouble. He'd had knee injuries, knee surgeries. But by the same token, Wicked, you, in your own inimitable fashion, said it most eloquently. Would you care to say it without utilizing the F-bomb?
I don't even know it. I don't know what I said. You know, I put it out there, and that's how I feel, and then that's it. It's gone. Once it leaves my mouth, it's the world's. I don't retain half the promos that I've ever cut. People are like, dude, this is the greatest promo I've ever heard. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't remember it. I will just say it's like this. I don't think it really hit anybody. Brad was really gone until you saw his boots beside his coffin. The boots with the flowers in them. The little like paper mache, like the colored paper you use for presents and things like that.
Right.
When his boots that he wore this past, not yesterday, the Saturday before at the event that we were at, when those boots were set off by his coffin, that's when it hit everybody.
Yeah.
That he was gone. But I will say this: his family was really cool about it. His family was very upbeat. His wife was very nice. You know, of course, I shared a memory with her of Brad, and she said, you know, don't worry about it. He's not in any pain anymore. Obviously, as you said, everybody knows that he was in pain. But his daughter was there, and his daughter was, yes, yeah, it's my father's. My kids would be screaming, crying. There'd be snot bubbles hanging out of their nose. I mean, my son would be trying. No, my son would probably take me somewhere to try to turn me into Frankenstein.
Probably.
To bring me back. He may even hide me in Pet Cemetery.
He probably Xavier would.
There was crying there, but it was more of a celebration. And of course, me, you know, everybody, there's a few sad eyes there, so when I started ripping everybody. You got to lighten the situation. Brad would not have had it any other way.
No, he wouldn't have.
And I had to drop the F-bomb twice. Only twice. I dropped it 151 times on the way up there. 2.5 hour ride. Because Lord, Grimm and Slaughter counted. They counted every F-bomb I dropped. And I guess they thought I was going to drop it in the church, which I did, but only twice. But Jesus and I have this understanding. And I hope he's happy now, because now he has the greatest lineup in the world between Canyon, Bam Bam, because Canyon's gay, but he is in heaven, I promise you that. Between Bam Bam, Brad Armstrong, and now, come on now, we all know Eddie Guerrero's up there. Chris Benoit's not. Benoit's in hell. But right now, Jesus has the greatest lineup, and I can't wait to see his Royal Rumble that he's going to have.
Royal Rumble, hell, I want to see the War Games.
The War Games, yes, the War Games, the match really from beyond.
The match way beyond.
St. Peter's out there beating everybody down with a good book. That was great stuff, good stuff.
Kind of like Howard C. crossing that damn briefcase, huh?
Why would you just compare Jesus Christ to Howard C. Cross? There's no relation to that.
You said St. Peter.
There's no relation. If you're going to compare anybody to Jesus, it needs to be me, not Howard.
Shoot. That'd be the complete antithesis.
What? They call me the lyrical Jesus for a reason. Look, I'm here at my house. Let me get out. Let me say goodbye to everybody, and I'll hit you up in the Scott in just a second, Eddie.
Okay.
Maybe I'm glad you could come on, dude.
We could tell everybody, John, you said Johnny Slaughter's there, Damon's there, and just tell everybody we said hi, please.
Everybody, the world says hello. What's up, world? Yo. Hello.
Hello.
And my Rough and Tag crew says hello.
There you go.
There were no pictures taken because only Marks take pictures at funerals.
Yeah,
I'll see you in a second.
Okay. Wicked Nemesis, as only he can be.
He's coming back. He's coming back on, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'll hang with you through the break or until he comes back on.
And he's about as calm as anybody can be. knowing his penchant, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Knowing his penchant for photographic evidence, I wouldn't have been surprised if he'd have pulled that quiet little click with the camera phone where nobody could see it and the flash wouldn't go off, just to see just to show it's like, yes, I was there, you assholes. So
No, the man's got too much respect for situations like that. He wouldn't do that.
I do too. That's why my phone would be in the car, under the seat, turned off, on vibrate.
For a man that smokes that much weed, he gets way too excited sometimes. I'm just saying.
You know, I've got to ask, and this is something that I don't know if you ever flashed back to this storyline or not, but I can't help but remember back in the days of the National Wrestling Alliance, Georgia Championship Wrestling, when Roddy Piper had really first just come in from the Portland territory, Don Owens' company. And one of the first people that he started on was Brad and Bob Armstrong. A lot of people, in the eyes then of a lot of people, because of that situation, because Piper was so over as he was as the complete in-betweener at that point. He was heel, as heel could be, but he was also popular. This was pre-WWF days. And I just sat back and I watched that whole storyline unfold when he was trying to get Brad to come join him, creating the friction between him and Bob, and, you know, as far as the televised storylines go. And I just sat back, and the first thing that is going through my head now when I relive those in my mind is that made Brad right there. Because Bullet and Brad were put over one Thanksgiving night in the Omni in a one-night tournament for the National Tag Team Championships. But they were always the underdog style team. They were always the grassroots, the down-home style team. Everybody loved them. You know, they come out to the podium area where Gordon Solie was doing interviews, and the crowd would just pop immensely. But they always had that silent nature to them to a great degree, where even though they were solid on the microphone, both Brad and Bob were great at cutting promos and doing interviews. It's just always seemed like they genuinely believed in the less is more theory when it came to being on the mic, where Ric Flair can go on 20 minutes and say 2 minutes worth of material. Bullet and Bob would take the mic, or Steve would take the mic, or Brad would take the mic, any one of the Armstrongs, except for Road Dogg, because God knows he made a killing out of being himself and just going totally off the deep end. But no kidding. And I love Brian to death. Great guy. Like I said, I've known him for years. I'll never say a negative word about him. But by the same token, I'll sit back and say Brad and Bob on those interviews during the Georgia Championship Wrestling days, just always understated. They got animated without going overboard, and they knew just how to play it. Did you ever have a chance to do any I'm looking back over those storylines with Roddy Piper?
No, because I'm not 106 like you there, Methuselah.
There is YouTube out there now, ding dong.
Dude, you know I have ADD. I can't sit there and watch YouTube for more than 3 minutes.
That's why I pick short videos.
Well, I'll say this. Like I said, you know, Brad Armstrong was coupled with just about every gimmick imaginable. And, you know, to the best of my knowledge, he never let it get him down. He never, was just like, from what I've heard, he never, poo-pooed on it. He was like, well, you want to wear red and white striped tights and hand out candy canes? Okay.
And he made it work.
Yeah, you want me to dress up like a yellow and purple Spider-Man? Okay.
Or Venom.
Huh?
Or Venom, because he did that look too.
Well, he's like, you want me to, dress up, team up. You need somebody for the Freebirds? Done. Whatever he did, even when he was, in the waning days of WCW, where he was a no-limit soldier.
That's what I was trying to remember, and I couldn't remember it.
Yeah, he was. They just called him BA for I guess Brad Armstrong.
Yep.
But just stuck out the whitest white man in the world with the no-limit soldiers. But you know what? He made it work.
Because
just like
go ahead.
Just like the buzzkill gimmick. people, in WCW openly said, they were like, hey, this is us making fun of your brother, because he had to go with, hair extensions because he couldn't grow his hair out long enough, to braid it like road dogs. But, that's what it was. Even the music. If anybody, go look up Buzzkill.
Yeah.
From back in the later days of WCW. Even the music was one note off from the, the classic New Age Outlaws, the, do. They changed one note. Brad came out. They didn't even call him Brad Armstrong. They just called him Buzzkill.
Yeah.
But he came out doing a thing, even when he knew that this was mocking his brother. The man did it.
It's paycheck.
I mean, he knew, and it's kind of unfortunate. And not many people remember this because it wasn't for very long. But when WWECW or Heat CW was on the air, Brad did commentary for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And then they let him go, which I think was a mistake because he actually did a better job than most people ever gave him credit for. So I just think it sucks, man. I don't know I have yet to see what the actual cause was. I don't even know if they said what the actual cause was.
I haven't seen it.
I just know that and once again, this is the dirt sheet sites. So what they say, take with a grain of salt. There wasn't nothing negative. It was just when it was reported Thursday, it said that he had met with his doctors last week about just an undisclosed medical issue. So
yeah, well,
which sucks, but.
And I haven't really paid that much attention. There's some people on Twitter that I don't personally follow, so I don't know what they've said in public or in private or on the internet. Another person I would be interested to find out exactly what his thought pattern is would be actually, and I said the name a minute ago, Ric Flair. Because I still go back to, and Bob and I had this conversation back at Fall Brawl for Global Championship Wrestling, reminding him about the night that he and Flair went to the 1 hour draw and how there was not a butt in the chairs. They were all standing up and cheering and booing. And matter of fact, I almost want to say Brad may have been on that card as well because it's been so far back. I remember the match. I don't remember the entire show. And but you always remember different things about different individuals at different points. And you were making the reference to some of the gimmicks like Buzzkill and Arachnaman and, the Candyman. And here's the thing about it. When the music stopped and the bell rung, it was Brad Armstrong. And you knew that you were going to get a solid match out of one of the smoothest people in this industry. He made everything look so fluid and so effortless. And long before people were saying, I've got the best drop kick in the business. No reflection on anybody I work with currently. Sorry. Not picking there. Brad Armstrong had one of the best drop kicks in the damn business. and
not only that, but he was doing standing drop kicks.
Yeah.
Long before. I mean, I know they used to say, it was original. Well, who was it originally that they touted in the WWF? Like, I think it was like Jim Brunzell or B. Brian Blair. They always touted that originally that they had, the best standing drop kick, and then later on, Hardcore Holly had the best standing drop kick. But no, if you wanted somebody who really had a picture perfect standing drop kick every time, it was Brad Armstrong. I mean, it's like it's any company, whether it be TNA, whether it have been Ring of Honor. I would have loved to have seen, because Ring of Honor is kind of bringing in some of the past generations, like the Headbangers and Matt Hardy. What?
I'm going to interrupt you while you say that name. Keep going.
What?
We're going to that's something I want to hit in a minute, but go ahead and finish your point, please.
Well, my point is I would have loved to have seen Brad Armstrong, at least get one or two shots on a Ring of Honor show.
That would have been a beautiful thing, because I think Brad would have been excellent with the mix and the talent that they've got up there.
hell, I would have, and people are going to laugh when I say this, but I would have loved to have seen, I don't know if they ever did, work together, but at Chikara, I would have loved to have seen a Mike Quackenbush, Brad Armstrong match.
Ooh, that would have been sweet.
And even better, Quack now, Quack's starting to wind down a little bit because, years of injuries, but I would say Quack in his prime and Brad in his prime, they probably could have put on a tremendous show. WWE, FCW could have, or I'm sorry, NXT, whatever they're called now. I think those kids, your basic fundamentals, they could have learned a lot.
They really could have. And
what is it? Was TNA using these days? OVW?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
No, I thought ROH was using OVW.
No, I think it's they'll get some guys from it every once in a while, but it's TNA because that's where they're sending Rob Terry, and I know Doug Williams is up there, and that's where they got the spectacular kid from.
I'm gonna barf.
Yeah, I know, but they could have used Brad Armstrong as a trainer. It's a lot of the upcoming generations now, and the generations that are just about to break through could have benefited from having Brad Armstrong as as a trainer.
Yeah, very true.
Not as an enhancement talent, not as someone to go out there, pin me, pay me, but as a trainer.
Yeah,
because he pass on what he learned from his dad.
Well, I'm going to say it like this and allow me to go ahead and put a closure on this whole situation. As a worker, as a professional wrestler, as a worker, at 51 years of age, he was still able to outdo some kids half his age. And yeah, guys, that is a slap at the way some of these people are doing the business nowadays. But that's a God's honest truth from my opinion. It really is. This industry has lost one of the most understated legends that it has ever known. It's lost a tremendous worker, one of the smoothest, most consummate professionals that you will ever find. And on a personal note, I've lost a longtime friend as well as a colleague. So, Brad, you will be missed. Hell, I started missing you 2 minutes after I heard the news. Folks, we're going to take the top of the hour break a little bit late, but when we return, we're going to have a little fun right here on Beyond Ringside. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Joe Perry.
And Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, here for RAD, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving. Yeah, we love it when the music does the talking.
And the music stops when someone gets killed.
So never let someone get behind the wheel if they've been drinking. So keep it real. Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Nurse, set up an IV. And you, her boyfriend, you were the driver?
Yes, doctor, but I didn't mean to hurt her. I only had a few drinks. I was just buzzed.
Just buzzed? Oh, then your girlfriend is fine.
Hey, sweetie. I feel great.
She's really okay?
What, are you kidding? No, not really. Nurse, get me a suture kit. Stat.
Buzzed driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
In 1977, an 8-year-old boy picked up the game of golf from his father. The odds of that same boy winning the U.S. Open twice, 1 in 1.2 billion. The odds of him having a child diagnosed with autism, 1 in 110. Ernie Els encourages you to learn the signs of autism at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Ozzy Osbourne. For many years, I've had a drink problem, and I'm trying to battle that problem every single day. But one thing I don't drive my car when I'm drinking. I get someone to drive me. Do not drink and drive. It's the stupidest thing. If you drink, just don't drive. Not only are you going to hurt yourself, you may hurt some other person, and you wouldn't want that on your conscience, would you?
A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
This is Alice Cooper for RADD.
We all got a long way to go.
There's a lot of things we have no control of in this world, but that's not the case with drunk driving. If you're going to drink, don't drive. Think ahead and choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives on, and so should you.
Yes, we all got a long way to go.
A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Citizens of America, this is a message from feedthepig.org. Americans spent more money than they earned in 2005. This is the first negative savings rate in the U.S. since the Great Depression. America, we must start feeding the pig. On the 1st and the 15th, we must pay ourselves before we pay anyone or anything. We must make a budget. Even consider cutting up a credit card. Log on to feedthepig.org today. Find the benefits of saving for every stage of life. Brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
As a mother, I'm making it a point to get the H1N1 flu vaccine for my children. You see, children are especially vulnerable to serious complications from the H1N1 flu, which could lead to hospitalization and even death. That's why I'm urging parents to get their children vaccinated. Vaccination is safe and is the most effective way to prevent the flu. Get the facts at flu.gov. Together, we can all fight the flu.
A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad.
Welcome to the original rock and wrestling radio show. Welcome to Beyond Ringside, your source for wrestling, MMA, and boxing in the Southeast. To contact the Ringside Roundtable of Beyond Ringside, email them at beyondringside@gmail.com. And now, your host for Beyond Ringside, the man, no myth, all legend, Fast Eddie Lane.
On a beautiful Sunday night, welcome to Beyond Ringside, 8 minutes after the top of the hour, the live version. Want to take a moment to say thank you to everybody who has been listening through and actually watching the YouTube replays as well as the Ustream replays from that vantage point. Need to let everybody know, because of the situations and complications from Hurricane Sandy, our 24/7 channel is still down. I have not been given any updates as to when everything will be back up and running. But as soon as we're able to get everything back up and going full speed through our primary server for the 24/7 channel, I will be more than happy to post messages on the on all of our social networks and on BeyondRingside.com, which amazingly enough is caught up right now. Ha ha! Welcoming in tag team partner Mark Mabo Bowman. Mabo, what's up?
Easy there, Porky Eddie.
That ain't all, folks.
Well, you mentioned Hurricane Sandy. I got a lot of people that are up in the Northeast. Not only all the Chikara guys. I checked in, like with Bryce Rimsberg and all that, and they seem to be okay. But
good.
I've got friends like Wiggly and his wife Chiz, Yolanda from Gimmick Tees, my buddy Mike, and then Boney and all those guys, and everybody seems to be okay. Some people are getting power back. Old friends of the show who we've not mentioned in a while, and I keep thinking to mention them. But I just checked in on them. I haven't heard official word back, but Tandao Kung Fu. Hadn't heard back from them, but they tweeted, so they seem to be okay so far. Haven't got any details, but yeah, it's. I guess the people in the Southeast, we get. It seems like a bi-yearly. Wait, what? Biannual, is that what it's at, twice a year?
Yes. Semi-annual.
I can't remember.
Semi-annual.
I can't remember. Huh?
Semi-annual.
Semi-annual. Biannual is every 2 years.
Correct. I had to remember because Victoria's Secret has the semi-annual sale. So that's
yes, we all know those commercials.
Yes, we do.
Yes, masturbation. But it really does seem like we get the Southeast gets hit with hurricanes and tornadoes and all such. Almost like you said, semi-annual, twice a year. So definitely to find out what happened all the way up, from what they say, North Carolina.
Oh God, yes.
Maine.
Yeah, from the Carolinas all the way up to into practically into Canada a little bit. They haven't really talked about that.
Just getting destroyed. It sucks because we know, all of us know personally, what it's like to not have power for a week and running low on gas and all that stuff. So.
Been there, done that.
So it really does. It sucks to hear that, and definitely thoughts go out to those cats, and hopefully everything is will work out for them.
See, here's the thing that really pisses me off about that whole situation. This is something that my roommate Mike brought up to me yesterday, and I think Cindy also made commentary on it. And we were having the discussion about how the power company workers, or the power company base, company itself, up in that area, up in Manhattan, had contracted out to bring in some workers to assist the workers that were already up in the Northeast, up in the Manhattan area, I believe it was. I may be wrong on the city, so bear with me on that.
It was New Jersey, from what I heard.
Jersey, and this is where they got turned away because they weren't union, and the union guys were threatening to go on strike.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Was Alabama Power guys rolled up into New Jersey, and because they weren't union, Jersey turned them away. Which, if any of you guys have seen pictures, and or they even showed a little footage before. And yes, I watched the Jersey Shore. All of you can bite me. Jay Wells' boobs are huge. They I guess they cut a little bumper before the start of the show with one of the cast members, Vinny, and they were showing pictures of the Jersey Shore, and dude, it was ravaged.
Well, see, one of my favorite shows on television right now, don't laugh too hard when I say this, is called Go On with Matthew Perry. And
you mean Goon? You mean Goon?
Yeah, pretty much. And they preempted Go On Tuesday night to run an update. Brian Williams hosted and everything, and they were showing live shots, or that day's pictures from everywhere, from Manhattan to the Jersey Shore to the interior part of Jersey. And I'm just sitting back just completely going, damn. So, yeah, I'll also sit back and say that my thoughts and prayers continue to go out to everybody up in the Northeast. I've got friends, I've got colleagues, I've got acquaintances up in the northeastern states as well, and I've tried to keep track and find out who all has been able to come through this okay. I'm still waiting on callbacks, text messages, tweets, Facebook messages, whatever. I've been monitoring the networks just to see. Speaking of welcoming back, I'd like to welcome back in the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis. Wick, welcome back.
Sorry, guys. I've been on the road since 10:30 this morning, and it was, had to get undressed, take the gel out of my hair, take a shower. Sorry.
We figured you stopped to hit your emergency respirator.
No, I'm about to do that live on air, I think.
There you go. All right. Hey.
Hey, you were talking about the Jersey Shore. We say what we want to. We make fun of these people. We really do, maybe, but I mean, they're still humans. They're still people, and they were wanting to have the New York City Marathon, which I thought was great. You're just going to throw it in the face that, hey, we have generators over here at the New York City Marathon. The guys from what's the guy's name from the Talking Heads, the lead singer?
Dave.
Yeah, Dave. He was on the Colbert Report Wednesday, and he said he has not had a hot shower since Saturday night. The storm didn't give a crap how much money you made, if you were a celebrity or not. It took out everything. And, maybe this is one of those things we'll look back, a few years ago, 10 years ago, I don't remember anybody saying a superstorm. Anybody remember that word being in our vocabulary?
Never.
Neither have I. And all of a sudden now we have superstorm. Climate's changing, just like wrestling. Climate changes. It's natural. It's progression. It happens. The thing is are you going to get swept up in it, in that progression, or are you going to do something about it? Those guys knew for a week that it was going to be bad. I saw a thing on the news from Thursday morning that was telling everybody to evacuate. People didn't listen. People thought, well, that's not going to happen. Sunday morning, you have pictures of bull sharks swimming around
a front porch
in New Jersey.
Yes.
A front porch in New Jersey. 3 bull sharks.
Yes.
Went all the way through parts of New Jersey. It was like Jaws happened all over again.
Almost like Lake Placid with the crocodile thing, but on a loose interpretation. Once again, loose interpretation. Now,
Didn't Dragons Gate USA have to cancel a show this past week because some of their guys were so affected? I think the arena itself was affected where they were going to do it. I know there's a few places up there, and kudos to everybody that made it. I know Taz was able to get on this past week due to storm damage.
Yeah, he took this week off, and more power to him. Like I said, to everybody, especially acquaintance, colleague, friends, all of the above. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm trying to find out for myself that everybody's okay, and I never believe it until I get direct message. But from that vantage point, you know, you're speaking about Impact, and I have to. You spoke of Taz, which got me thinking about something that happened on Impact, and segueing back to wrestling for a hot second. With AJ Styles, microphone in hand, I don't know if you've seen it. Great. If you haven't seen it, sorry, I'm covering it on this one. When AJ was when Styles was on the microphone making a reference to people getting videos, he's talking about the year that he's had, including having a video of him getting into an elevator with somebody of the opposite sex, and then went straight to camera and went, and this seems to be the in thing to do if you're somebody named AJ in this business. I'm going, yes, that is a direct shot at E. So to WWE Creative, guess what? You want to pick up that Punk card now or what? Because
and AJ the mark for even saying something about it. What did that solve? Oh, that solved the fact that everybody already knew that WWE took their storyline. Well, I got news for you, TNA. WWE took your storyline and made money out of it. Something that AJ Styles has never done in this business. Made money. I'm glad. And AJ's a mark. You wouldn't do that. Why are you going to break the wall down? Like, oh, that seems to be the end thing to do. You know what you've just done? You've just acknowledged WWE once again.
Yeah.
Once again. This is what's wrong with TNA. That simple fact. They let these guys go out there, and I'm all for people writing their own promos. But when you have somebody that has no right to even be on a microphone to go out there, they say the stupidest stuff. I would have fired AJ immediately for saying that backstage. I'd have like, you're fired.
You don't fire one of your best workers just
for Ring of Honor, kid.
Well, he'd do well in Ring of Honor, too.
Well, you know what? He'd probably do better than he would there in TNA. You can't have that. You can't have somebody go on a national TV and be like, that seems to be the end thing to do. If your name's AJ, that's such a mark thing to do. He might as well be taking pictures at Brad Armstrong's wake.
You're going to run with that, aren't you?
I'm serious. Well, I'm serious. That makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. It goes back to psychology. And there's a lot of guys in this business that claim to be workers that have no psychology. AJ's one of them. If I was AJ Styles being the face of that company, being the guy in TNA, I would put my foot down and I would tell Hulk Hogan to kiss my ass. Somebody's got to step up. They have such great talent. You can't bring James Storm out by himself. Oh, Hulk Hogan, hit Hogan's music. James Storm, come out to Hogan's music with him. And I love how Hogan, the guy he crapped on a few months ago, was like, yeah, this is the guy I'm bringing. Don't insult us, Hulk. Don't insult us. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're insulting us. And they don't care, guys. They don't care.
They're
AJ doesn't care because he's mentioned another company. Hulk Hogan doesn't care because he's still getting paid. You know what I saw? I thought Terry Taylor and Tom Pritchard were going to come to blows today at a wake. And you know what? That would have made more sense than anything TNA's ever put on TV.
TNA is desperate right now, and that's
Yes, sir.
because of the crap they're running with the aces and eights. I mean, I'm sorry, it's just not that good. And then they had the big reveal that, guess what? The person who signed the deal with TNA 5 weeks ago, I think it was, Luke Gallows, was unmasked. But they didn't call him Luke Gallows. They called him, they said somebody else. What's that?
They call him Festus because that's about the size he is right now. He's huge. I asked him if he ate Johnny Swinger before he come in. I was like, did you eat Swinger before you come in, Luke?
Oh, you didn't do that.
Yes, I did. I like Luke. I just don't like the match he had with Orion Bishop.
I don't think anybody did.
Mabo. Go ahead, sir. I know you're sorry.
He's been, working dark matches and tryout matches for TNA long before they signed him. He's, at least a good 6 months or so. And then they've had him under the name, I think, Isaiah Cash or something like that. So don't be surprised if, he uses that. So, I mean, and I've been, I've said on this show several times who they've had under the masks, and was not surprised that Luke Gallows was one of them.
I loved it because I knew nothing about the Aces and Eights thing. I didn't know the Aces and Eights was quote unquote the dead man's hand. I knew nothing about that. I don't play cards. I don't gamble. But when all that happened, the stuff happened with Luke. The one guy.
I think we lost his Skype. Meanwhile, Mabo, pick up.
I don't know. What do you want to do? Start ranting and raving?
No, not necessarily. We're going to hold tight to see if we could get his Skype back up and going.
No, I mean, just to continue, I mean, whatever, regardless or whatever, Wick said about, AJ doing that, it actually started, of course, this was at a house show
Luke Gallows just intercepted my phone. I'm sorry, guys.
There he is. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying that, I didn't know the dead man's hand. I didn't understand what that was. I don't gamble. The stuff with Luke was what everybody kept saying over and over and over again. Mabel kept saying, like, Luke Gallows is under there. That was like the one guy that everybody knew was under Luke Gallows. Luke looks nothing like he did in GCW and when he wrestled in WWE. He has put on a bunch of weight, which is okay because he's a big man. But you're in ring work. What is the main thing for aces and eights, guys? What should be the main part for aces and eights? To put over a bunch of baby faces. They're not doing that. They're putting over a bunch of guys that like Chris Masters, Luke Gallows. Guys, I mean, you need to focus on AJ Styles, focus on James Storm, Bobby Roode.
Correct.
I mean, to me personally, guys, you guys might agree with, they have three of the best young talents in wrestling today in James Storm, Bobby Roode, and Phil Gunner, whatever. And they know nothing to do with them. They don't know what to do. I would, if I was Dixie, I'd be looking for stuff on the internet these days. They don't know. They have such great stuff, and then just trail off.
Yeah.
But they'll have something good, and then they'll completely destroy it.
Or crap on it.
Or crap. But they don't see it as that way. You know why? Because they don't have agents. They say they do. They don't have agents.
No.
Nobody has any say-so there. Tell me, guys, who is in charge of TNA? Who is in charge of Impact? It's not Dixie Carter. And you guys know this. You guys have all been around the business long enough. Eddie, when you have 4 or 5 people to answer to, 4 or 5 people can tell you 4 or 5 different things they want.
Right.
And it's usually not the person that's writing the paychecks that tells you what they want. So.
And do me a favor, hang tight. Mabo, you were saying something a minute ago. Come on back in.
Oh, as far as AJ's, shot on air, a couple weeks ago, actually might have been about a month ago at this point, at a WWE house show, and for anybody who's ever been into a WWE house show, they know that, that they're a little bit more lenient with what goes on, because they're not really trying to. They're testing out things, and they're having fun. To me, I enjoy going to house shows more than I go to any kind of TV taping, because
me too.
House shows, they're there to have fun. That's where you see the not so serious side. I mean, they still take it seriously, but they are there to have fun.
That's when superstars become wrestlers.
Exactly. But there was one segment, AJ Lee and Punk were in the ring, and I've seen the clips. Somebody had a camera phone clip. That's camera phone, cell phone, whatever. And he looked at her dead in the eye, and I forgot what they were arguing about, but he just turns around and he sits there and, just kind of nonchalantly calls her Alan Jones.
Oh, and God.
Anybody that knows who Alan Jones is...
No, I don't think Bill Barron said his name 6 times the last time he was here on Beyond Ringside. Well,
that was sort of a jab. That was Punk's jab at AJ Styles with being AJ. So, I guess this was, who it depends. But I guess this was maybe AJ. This was Styles as the return fighter, so to speak, on Punk. Of course, like I said, Punk did it at a house show.
Styles did it on TV.
And it was at a house show, and it was so obscure. Like, people were like, Alan Jones, what is that, Tom Jones's kid?
Sure.
But, there was, I just thought it was like, but I mean, I of course I was able to watch Impact, so I saw exactly what they were talking about.
Well, let me ask you guys this. There's a difference between a guy at a house show, and let's say CM Punk is a very savvy guy. He's a slime ball in real life, but he's a very savvy guy when it comes to being able to take something popular and use it. The voice of the voiceless. Does anybody not realize that's a Rage Against the Machine song? Of course not. Punk is doing exactly what The Rock did. The Rock took all these obscure hip hop references and used them. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen CM Punk do a promo. He starts quoting Rage Against the Machine. He starts quoting Less Than Jake. He starts quoting Immortal Technique, who is a rapper, by the way. And I think, does anybody else not get this? I feel like there's a difference between that guy at a house show saying something and AJ in a company that is bleeding money. a company that their top 5 guys aren't even 5 guys that they made, guys that made their reputation and built their persona, their quote-unquote gimmick on WWE, who you think is your rival. I think there's a huge difference between that. And the whole thing about the calling everybody by the shoot name, that's so stupid, because CM Punk would go crazy if people started calling him Phil Brooks on a show. He would go, what? But you see, that's how things go. That's how this business is. Crap
begets crap.
Goes downhill.
Crap begets crap. Speaking of crap.
Yeah.
And actually, no, not really.
Does it segue to me?
Nope, not.
Maybe, hold on, before we go any further, maybe I will ask you, I will say this. I was approached by a few people today on the show that said they listened to Beyond Ringside. A few guys, I only knew one of them. The other guys, they sit there like with big smiles on their face, like, yeah, we know who you are. You have a following.
Yes.
There's a lot of people in this business, Maybo, that listen to you. I mean, I know Eddie likes to blow smoke up your butt all the time, talking about you being the breakout star. It's true. Because everybody's like, hey, man, you do that radio show. I'm like, no, I don't do a radio show. I thought they were talking about the To Be Determined show. No, they're talking about Beyond Ringside. And somehow, and I love the fact that even on Twitter that people still say this is Maybo's show. I love that. That's great.
Now, wait a minute. Wicked, how can I be blowing smoke up his butt when you just sat back and said it's true?
Yeah, because it's coming from you.
You're an ass.
I've heard that 5 times today. We were at a funeral. I'm the only person getting heated at a funeral.
Well, of course, you live for that shit stuff.
No, it was good. See, it sounds so hard when you started laughing.
No, we're even because you said it during the first minute.
I said it at the very beginning. Yeah, I was all fired up though.
I know it.
Y'all don't understand. Like, and the thing about Brad, and we talk about, I know we were talking about TNA, but
I'm leaving it in there.
Thing. TNA put Brad's memorial on at the beginning. That was great. The man touched so many people, and I'm talking about a Ronnie Garvin way. Touched so many people in this business. God. That it was just like, it just, for TNA to do that, to go out of their way, they didn't have to. But somebody in the back has a good head on their shoulders. I'm sure it's Bully Ray and all those guys, the true veterans of this business. Those guys, kudos to them on that. We always talk about them not doing, but they did that right by having the Brad Armstrong memorial, the memoriam, or whatever it's called.
The black screen.
Yeah, the Walking Dead,
the black screen, yeah. The Walking Dead, that comes on in an hour and a half. We've got leeway time to work with here, but we're not going to use it. However,
Walking Dead.
I know, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern. From there, I'm lifting the restriction this week for one show only. Let it rip. I don't, with the exception of the F-bomb. That's the only restriction.
I've said enough of those a day.
Yeah.
But I got to ask you.
Wait. Wicked, you made the comment that you said it 157 times during the funeral. I give you credit because that's only
before the wake. Before the wake. I said it twice at the wake.
I give you credit because that's actually one shot of the number of times that you said it during the first 6 months you were on this panel.
Oh no, yeah, I'm sure, yeah. Hey, I didn't cuss that much, and then when I got comfortable and everything, I was like, hey, Mabel, let's pull our nuts out and just go kind of crazy on here. And Mabel was like, I don't think you can do that. Sorry, Mabel.
I mean, you can pull your nuts out, but I don't think anybody's gonna.
Because it's radio.
We're not a video podcast, so.
No. This is not a podcast. This is the live version. We don't podcast live crap. The podcast is the replay. This is live internet radio.
Eddie, can you do me a favor? Can you do your best David Bowie impression?
Oh my God, I haven't thought of that voice in mechas.
I'm always on you, half now. That's what David Bowie thinks.
Ground control to Major Tom. Okay. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I love different versions of that. You're going to hell in a handbasket. Speaking of going to hell in a handbasket, why do you think it took him so long to put the X Division title on Rob Van Dam? Mabo?
I don't know.
Cut it out.
Leave
this off, everybody. Nobody understands.
All right. I am now getting even. Hold on.
But yeah, the thing about Rob Van Dam, Mabo, let me ask you why Eddie's busy. Do you feel that them taking the restrictions on and off the weight class of the X Division is going to do something? Because obviously Rob Van Dam's 241. Their weight limit was 215. They raised it up. They lowered it, and now they have no weight limit. Your thoughts on that? And Rob Van Dam actually holding a title in TNA once again.
Well, do you want me to answer it as David Bowie?
Sure, maybe.
That would be great.
Do it.
I think that they shouldn't have limits on the X division. I don't think they should have limits on the X division. It's always been about no limits in the X division. Roman has a hell of a talent. He has no limits on him. He has no limits on him.
Should I play China Girl instead of Let's Dance?
Look, we're huge, Eddie. We're huge Kevin Smith fans. Kevin Smith does a podcast that Mabel and I listen to.
I'd rather watch Comic Book Men.
Great.
I'd rather watch Comic Book Men.
Huh?
I'd rather watch Comic Book Men.
Well, no, the tremendous Ralph Garman, talking about underappreciated people.
I know.
Yes.
Does a hell of impressions, and just if you ever get a chance, just start off with Hollywood Babylon #1. And
Why?
Listen all the way through.
I'm so scared.
And that sounds like
John Travolta.
That sounds like what
John Travolta. I actually called Pandora John Travolta tonight, guys.
Oh God!
I was like, what's so weird? It's a gay ghost. I'm so weird. I'm sorry. The Grim Ghost, since they changed the name of the gay ghost. A big shout out to John Travolta. I hope he does do the gay ghost. I think that'd be a great DC comic hero for him to totally get rid of that persona of him being homosexual.
Or a badass at the same time. Okay, Mabo, you were talking about Rob Van Dam. Go ahead.
You know, everybody was kind of expecting him to have the belt when he walked. It's just like when Jeff Hardy first came in years ago. Everybody expected them to put the X Division title, like literally the first day he was on TV, and he even had a match with AJ. I think AJ Styles had the X Division belt when he first came in, and they had a heck of a match. I don't think there should be a weight limit, because that would who was one of their best and longest running X Division champions, Samoa Joe. Exactly.
Yeah.
That guy. You couldn't put a weight limit on one of his thighs, but. So I don't think there should be a weight limit. I mean, if you're not going to call it the cruiserweight or the light heavyweight, the junior weight, whatever, don't put a weight limit on it. It's what the X Division originally stood for. It's not about weight limits.
It's about no limits.
No limits. So, the RVD has it. That's fine. And I think this is actually going to. I mean, we all know primarily the flippy dippy kids get a hold of the X Division title. So I think this is actually going to be a chance for RVD to show what he can do against the the younger little spot monkey kids that they have come in, like your Zema Ion or any of the other ones. I think having no weight limit is gonna enhance it, and I think maybe. RVD is going to hopefully with his name maybe bring back to prominence the X Division title.
Wicked Nemesis, your thoughts, real quick.
Yeah, I totally agree. There should be no weight limit unless you're going to call it the cruiserweight, junior heavyweight, light heavyweight, something like that. That's when you put a weight limit on it. But I also feel like that if you're under 180 or under 200 pounds, you shouldn't be a heavyweight champion either.
I agree with that 100%, which is going to lead me to one of the questions that I posted on Twitter through the Beyond Ringside account. And I want the best straight shoot answer both of you can give. In this day and age, with the volatility of a championship situation in any and every possible organization, what do championships really mean right now? Mark Bowman.
Well, it just depends on what, are we talking about overall? Are we talking about companies? Or, on what scale?
What's the first thing that pops into your head when I ask that question?
Honestly, at this point, in this day and age, to me, you don't need belts to recognize greatness. To me, belts overall have just become another reason to have a storyline. Most of your belts don't exemplify who the top person is in that company. What exemplifies who the top person is in the company is, the fans, the crowd reaction, whether it be positive or negative. Like right now, CM Punk, to me, doesn't need the belt. People are going to boo the crap out of him. He does what he does. He doesn't need a belt. I hate to say this, but even John Cena. Cena hasn't had the belt for how long?
Okay.
And look, he's, amongst the women folk and the, kids, and the males who haven't hit puberty, or those who have hit puberty and want to play with his Fruity Pebbles, they still love him to death. To me, right now, belts don't really exemplify who the top person in the company is. And they're just decorations, so to speak. Now, they do create some interesting storylines, like, in interesting situations, whether you like it or not, the whole Team Hell No thing. I'm the tag team champion. No, I'm the tag team champions. It's entertaining. And they're using that, to me, they're using the belts more as a prop. Would I say that Kane and Daniel Bryan's the best tag team in the WWE right now? No. Not in the least. They're entertaining. Individually, both men are tremendous. But that belt is nothing more than,
garnish,
a gimmick, an angle, a storyline.
Parsley.
And that's it. I mean, there's very few belts right now that sit there and identify someone as the best. Very few.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. As far as on a national and a worldwide scale, well, I'm not going to say worldwide because they take their stuff very serious over in Japan and Mexico and all that. So, but as far as what we see on TV here in the United States, very few belts exemplify who is number one.
Wicked, I think you know where I'm going to go with this. So I'm going to ask you to answer the question without using what we talked about off air before the show.
Well, yeah, I just think that when it comes to titles, it's a work, plain and simple. With everything going on, people nowadays think that their titles mean something. They think because you run a promotion that your title is supposed to be the begin-all and end-all. That's not true. First of all, a promotion has to have a real title. You can't have old WCW painted up titles you got on the internet as your heavyweight champion. People see that. Second of all, as Meepo said, it used to be that titles meant something. If you were the Intercontinental Champion, guess what? They were grooming you for the heavyweight title. It's not that way anymore. Tag team titles mean nothing. The women's title is not even a women's title anymore. It's a Divas title. Divas is a connotation for something bad. I'm a diva. Not all women are divas. I'm sorry to say that. And I love the fact that they're like divas in training. You walk up to somebody like Aretha Franklin, Mariah Carey, and you see how they act. Those are divas. You just saw Beth Phoenix this past Monday night. There's your best female wrestler you have. They have 15 titles right now on WWE, it seems like. None of them mean anything. Nothing at all. There's one women's title that means anything in this world. That's NWA Women's World Championship. The WWE Championship still means something. The world title means nothing. That is the secondary title because it's always going to be treated as such because it's still seen with the NWA WCW days. And also TNA. TNA would do best to get rid of that title they have that looks like Jeff Hardy stole from the Divas in the Knockouts division. They need to bring back they just need to just reform with the NWA. There's no titles that mean there are hardly any titles out there that mean anything. It's a work. People aren't put in position as they used to be. And you can look at what's happening right now on the national scale. It's all a work, period.
See, there's a number of things going on in this world. And by the way, for the record, I agree about the local titles. Believe it or not, I do. On the local level, I believe they mean more than they do on the national level. And to keep the world in proper perspective, if you look at a promotion that has, if you look at a local promotion that has 5 different champions, how deep is their roster really running, and what all of the hell are they trying to do with it? There's no reason why a localized promotion should have more than 3 max titles. 2 titles, 3 max. Your primary single, your primary tag. If you have television, do a television title. If you run an internet-based show, have an internet title. Or if you want to have a junior title or a women's title or, you know, something of that ilk, that's cool. I mean, and by the same token, if you've got a women's title but the talent pool isn't that strong, why the hell have a women's title to begin with if you're going to have it on the same person and making them look completely like a dynasty? A one individual dynasty. Do you gentlemen realize that over the course of the last 3 weeks, we've had 2 major championship changes in the National Wrestling Alliance? The NWA World Women's Championship changed hands recently at a show in Lebanon, Tennessee, when Casey Carlisle defeated Tasha Simone, the 2-time champion, for the belt to start her first title run. The situation in Australia, which took place between Colt Cabana and Adam Pearson, yes, I actually said his name, where Cabana basically dissed the NWA belt and Adam Pearce kissed it and threw it down. After utilizing the exact words, "You pushed me out." We have varying opinions about different individuals in this business, and they are personal opinions. Some are based on in front of the camera work, some are based on in-ring work, some are based on behind-the-scenes work. Last night, we crowned, or a new NWA World Champion was crowned in the Tokyo Monster Cahagas. I didn't even know that Cahagas was involved in the match because I haven't checked any of the listings going into yesterday because I had so much going on. And then, Wicked, you told me before we went on the air that Cahagas was a genuine last-minute entrant into the whole situation, that he was added Saturday. Or was it Friday or Saturday?
Hold on. Let's not get this twisted. He told them he had already was booked somewhere, okay? The guys that were in that tournament had already been given, you know, the tournament and everything. Right at the last second, they added him to this tournament again because he turned down his booking. You have a chance to wrestle for the vacated NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and you decide to take another booking. This is one of the worst decisions the NWA made. I was behind the NWA with what happened, Eddie, in Australia. I'm behind them 100% on that. Adam Pearce and Colt Cabana, disrespectful, and I wouldn't put the title on Colt anyways because what he does with $5 wrestling. And don't tell the NWA, sure, I'll wear the title, but you can take second bookings till June, because that's what Colt said. And nobody pushed Adam Pearce out the door. Adam pushed himself out the door by wrestling people like you-know-who in Piedmont, wrestling guys 150 pounds and whoring out that title he supposedly cares so much about. When you're told, do not go work Hollywood for Marquez, and you still show up on their 100th episode with the title after being told, yeah, I think some repercussions need to be done. Don't you think, Eddie?
I will agree to that.
And then, sir?
I will agree.
And then what happened? Chance Prophet.
The Dark Child.
Damian Wade and Chance Prophet do great stuff in the NWA. Great stuff, especially Chance. They didn't have any other bookings in this tournament. They went to that tournament with one goal. Then you insert a guy in it, and he wins the title. He wins that title. Utter horse crap. Complete horse crap.
See,
it's just like what happened with Casey Carlisle. We will interview Casey Carlisle this Wednesday, guys. It'll be to the determined show. And I'm going to ask her, how does it feel knowing that Tasha's last match, she wrestled for 58 minutes. Then she turns around and wrestles Casey for 15. Something's wrong there, guys. Something's really, really wrong. and to interject this man right at the last second at 11:59, right before the witching hour of midnight, they insert this guy into the whatever. Have fun being a transitional champion, guy.
Well, by the same token, let's look at the record books when we start talking about people. And I've got to say this. I have followed a lot of what Cajegas has done, especially with NWA Ring Warriors. The guy's great. He's solid as a rock in the ring.
And Eddie, you can't work one NWA promotion and be like, you know what, I'll do a lot. No. Chance profits on every NWA promotion just about that I know of.
Right, and Cajegas has made his rounds in the southeastern U.S.
Exactly, and then you're going to put this guy at the last minute. What they did is they crapped on all those guys that had made sure that they were ready for that tournament by inserting a guy and then put the title on him. But once again, he's not going to put any asses in the seats. He's not going to bring any money to the NWA. The NWA is going to look back on this like, wow, we screwed the pooch on this. They're going to, I'm telling you right now. And I know they're listening. Guys, I know you're listening. And you know my number. Get in touch with me. I'll tell you exactly how I feel about it. It's bullcrap. It's horrible. Horrible business decision. Not really business decision, because that's what this is about, is a business decision. Tokyo Monster? Okay.
And like I said for a minute there, I've watched some of his material. I've watched some of his matches. The guy's got it. I mean, as far as in-ring work goes. And you've got a lot of people who have ultimately glowing responses and comments about Cajegas. So in that particular regard, the only thing that I have is the fact that, yeah, I do agree with the fact that it was a last-minute entrance and all of a sudden he goes over. But by the same token, look at other situations that have occurred. Remember, when Craig Classic stepped down as the NWA World Junior Champion and they organized the 8-person tournament up in Charlotte as part of Rebirth under the administration of the previous head of the NWA. And there was one person in particular who pulled himself out of the tournament. They had another person come in at the last minute. But it was the modern day hero who came out with the NWA strap, and he was one of the original entrants in there. Now, I mean, we can agree to disagree. We always seem to anyway. But there's just something, I mean, it really makes me wonder, and it makes me think about the way things are being done. And I know that when one company buys out another company, there is a huge transition period that you want to be as smooth as possible. But there's going to be situations, especially now thanks to the internet, Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, all of the above, every social networking site. People make YouTube, Ustream videos and Facebook videos, and they put their opinions out there. And I will say this. Okay, I don't know if another video has come out of the Australia situation. But I know that, in all due respect, Pierce handled the situation pretty damn well. I think that Cabana went 9 miles over, whereas Pierce just said, see ya. And I respect that. I got no problem with that. But by the same token, Mabo, you've been remarkably quiet. Care to weigh in?
Well, I've been quiet because I'm trying not to poop my pants. I told you I was sick and I wasn't going to be able to do much. Yeah, the David Bowie impression took it out of me.
Well, at least it didn't put it into you.
No, that would be Liam Neeson. Dude, I ain't got a dog in this fight either way. I mean, whatever happened, happened. It's hindsight is 20/20 when it comes to taking a guy and putting him in the tournament at the last second and then putting the belt on him. Hindsight's 20/20. You know what I'm saying? They might look back at it and be like, wow, that was horrible. You know, some people could literally, years from now and be like, Kahoo? So, or who knows? Might surprise and shock everybody, and he, I'm not gonna say he's gonna be one of the greats, but he might have a fairly decent run. We don't know. We don't know.
And
gotta look at it from both sides.
I'm chomping at the bit over here because there's something that crossed my mind just a minute ago. And Wicked, I got to throw this one back at you. You used the word transitional champion. As it stands, and hold on, Wick, are you with us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
My Skype come on. I'm trying to get to the Skype. I'm on the phone. I'm trying to.
Oh, okay.
Skype. Sorry, guys.
Well, let me go ahead and say this. You mentioned the word transitional champion. I would like to remind you that there was a 3-time former NWA World Heavyweight Champion who was recognized by a number of people in this business as one of the greatest transitional champions of all time. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Tommy Rich?
That's one thing that Dusty has never been called as a transitional champion. I think you're the first person to ever say that, Eddie, because the man was never transitional champion. When he did it for his own. He is one of the most egotistical men in this business. A transitional champion, and Mabo keeps saying his name. Mabo, tell everyone who is the preeminent transitional champion, sir.
Tommy Rich?
Tommy Rich. That is a transitional champion. That is a true transitional champion. He held that title just because he had some really good weed and some pills that he was giving everybody.
But see, thing about it is, transitional champion. Wait. I got to argue this point. Transitional champions take place when you're going from one A-list to another A-list. Tommy Rich did not do that. Tommy Rich was an intermediate champion for Harley Race. He went from championship run number 3 to number 4 because of Tommy Rich. Tommy Rich got the belt for a week, and to build Harley Race one more number up so he could catch up there, and so he could put himself higher in the stat book. Dusty Rhodes was the transition between Harley Race and Ric Flair. You say that Dusty Rhodes was egocentric about the way. Well, you can be egocentric all day long, and you're going to be called a World Heavyweight Champion, a 3-time World Heavyweight Champion. But Dusty Rhodes, remember, the NWA, by nature, has always kept the belt on a heel. They've never kept it on a babyface for an extended period of time. Look at Ronnie Garvin, look at Rick Steamboat, look at Sting, look at, there's another name that's really trying to pop into my head right now. Ron Simmons.
Babyface champions?
Yeah, they've normally kept the belt on heel champions.
Look at Jerry Briscoe. And the reason why, Eddie, why do you keep it on transition? Why do you keep the belt on a heel more often than not?
A heel can sell a ticket to put the babyface over.
Exactly, because a heel can sell a ticket in any market you put him in.
Yeah.
When Briscoe was champion, Briscoe could not go into a territory and wrestle that local guy because everybody wanted Briscoe to win.
Yep.
That's what it's about. John Cena and Hogan are two guys that have been truly over-the-top babyface champions. It's not often. People forget that. People forget,
Bruno.
Sheik winning the title from Backlund. Transitional champion.
Yeah. Held the belt for what, a grand total of less than a month? Turned around and lost it to Hogan at that first match?
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have no qualms with utilizing the term transitional champion when it comes to Dusty Rhodes. I love Dusty Rhodes to death. He is one of my 5 favorite performers in this industry of all time. But when it comes to the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, he is a 3-time world champion. But he is also the man who transitioned the world from the realm of Harley Race to the realm of Ric Flair. That is the only way that I can say that. Mabo, do you care to comment on that?
Well, first of all, did Dusty ever need the title?
Dusty was over regardless.
Did Dusty ever need the title?
No.
No, Dusty never needed the belt.
Okay. Now, you said Dusty was the transitional from Race to Flair.
Yes.
Did Flair not ever beat Harley Race for the title, or am I crazy?
Flair beat Race for the belt. Dusty beat Race. Okay, it was Race, Dusty, Race, Flair, Dusty, Flair, Dusty, Flair. I think.
Okay, so why would you need Dusty in the first place if...
Because a heel can't beat a heel every time.
But Flair beat Race for the title, right?
You have to have the most over babyface.
Babyface.
Yeah, because Flair and Race were both heels. To have a heel title change at that point in time...
No, it was babyface. When they did the Flair for the gold, he was babyface at that time.
Who?
Ric Flair was babyface when he wrestled Harley Race.
And then he turned...
He had turned babyface. It's something he did with Piper or something on one of the old shows they had. He was babyface when he won the title. That's what the whole thing of Flair for the gold. That was all babyface. And Dusty Rhodes put the title on himself, by the way. We're forgetting this. He was the booker at the time.
Well, yeah.
So we're forgetting that. We keep skimming over that.
But yeah, wow, there's a shock. A booker putting a title on himself. There's a shock.
I don't think I've ever heard of that in this business. And the first time in my...
God, no.
Never.
Never.
Kevin Nash.
No, not from a national standpoint down to a local standpoint. A booker has never sat there and put a title on himself.
Just like just like I've never heard of a father running a promotion and putting the belt on his kid. No, I've never heard of that either. But by the same token, no, and this is where I would stand beside what I said on that. Because Dusty Rhodes, okay, yes, I remember now because Flair beat Race in that regard. It was Flair for the gold and Flair was working face. But by the same token, Ric Flair, admittedly, everybody universal accolades for the fact that Flair was a better heel any day of the week than he was a face for 5 minutes. He needed to be the flagship of that company. They wanted him as a heel. Therefore, okay, fine. First title run, great. Second and third title runs were Ric Flair as a heel in this industry. And your Skype disappeared before I could answer it, Wick.
Sorry.
But by the same token, and I'm going to look at this, and I started to say this a minute ago. Championships are a very delicate thing. Because there are still people in this world who try to put a value on that belt. Because
$50,000.
Say what?
That's at $15,000, $10,000.
At least, yeah, depending on the belt, or $150 if you get it on eBay. And
Caleb Conley, high $5 wrestling.
Say what?
Oh, I said, or Caleb Conley. I said high $5 wrestling and high spots.
There you go. Or Jake the Man Scout Manning. I think he was working with high spots for a while. May still be. Now, we're going to hit one more major topic. How many times in this industry, and Maybo, I really wish you had seen Ring of Honor this week because there's about 8 points I want to drill on that show. Most of them good. I will put it this way. I made the comment through the Beyond Ringside Twitter account that I felt that this episode of ROH TV was one of the better ones that they've come out with in a while. Now, granted, it was a Road Rage episode, so they're showing stuff from the pay-per-views. But by the same token, I think the way that they put this one together, as they are slowly but surely starting to put things together for Final Battle, which is going to be a pay-per-view that I'm going to get. And God knows if I could afford it, I'd go to the Hammerstein Ballroom myself just to get the hell up to New York. I'd get me out of Birmingham for 5 minutes. You'd think I'm going to pass that up. But by the same token, I think Ring of Honor also has a ton of questions that they have to be asking themselves right now. Because for as stable, and here's the trick, the storylines that ROH is running in recent days, they are stable storylines. They are safe storylines. But in my book, they are not solid storylines. You can only take the tried and true so far, and if you don't try to venture off a little bit to the left, or if you keep going off to the right, people are going to lose interest. I would like to see the numbers in the Birmingham metropolitan or the Central Alabama market for what ROH does on both of their broadcasts. In our home market of Birmingham, Alabama, in the Central Alabama area, I mean, granted, I say Birmingham because none of us actually live inside the city limits, but we live in around the area.
I do.
That's right, you do now. I'm sorry, you used to live in Moody. I'm still actually have the area that you are as classified as Hoover rather than Beeham. But from that vantage point, they run Ring of Honor twice in our market on CW21. On Channel 2, Channel 68. 68. I'm sorry, CW21 is where they show the company that I work for. And Wicked tried to edit me. But by the same token, let's look at it from here. I'd like to see the numbers, what they're pulling in, because I know those numbers have to be decreasing. I DVR the show. I don't miss Ring of Honor. If I don't watch it before our broadcast on Sundays at 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern, then I go back and watch it later because I still am interested in what they're doing. Now, you brought up somebody that made an appearance on ROH TV this week. I'm sorry, I saw that person's face. I wanted to go violently vomit in my toilet.
Who, Kevin Steen?
No. Kevin Steen I like.
I don't like Kevin Steen.
Kevin Steen I like. I think he's good for ROH. I think he's good for pro wrestling, even though they're still trying to put him over as the second coming of Stone Cold Steve Austin to that same degree.
You don't have him spit in Jay Lethal's parents' face. It's so stupid. That's the most disrespectful thing where I'd killed that guy. I'd killed him right there. And he's sloppy. His in-ring work has gotten so sloppy. I don't give a crap how you dress. Dress like a piece of trash you want to, but don't get in the ring and start hurting people. Go to TNA and do that.
I agree.
Xena Ion.
I agree. I mean, he
But
puts
Davey
more.
Richards and Jay Lethal tore the house down. And I'm so glad that Jim Cornette is no longer booking. Hopefully Nigel McGuinness and his hepatitis D having ass, allegedly, will do better.
And remember, Mabo has not seen ROH this week, so we're not playing spoilers on him, okay?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Everybody was talking about it at the wake. So, yeah, you go to a wrestling wake, and what do you talk about? Wrestling. Why? Because everybody in there is wrestlers. It was so funny listening to these guys, and so many promoters from all over the place come out to pay their respects. And I was just waiting because I heard there was a guy, and I'm not going to say his name because I know him. I couldn't believe it. A guy that actually went to Mike Graham's funeral asking for a job. Hey guys, you got a thing? Damon Christopher told me about it. And I did a little research. Yeah, don't go to a wake or to a funeral and start asking for jobs. Terrible, horrible, no good, very bad punch in the face.
That's like handing out business cards at a wedding. If you're not the caterer or the DJ or photographer.
Hey, I gave out my card at a wedding. It said, meet me behind the shed in 5 minutes, little girl. I gave it to the mom, though, so don't worry.
There you go. Wicked Nemesis would be the one in the red and white jacket with the candy canes going, "Hi, little girl, would you like some candy? Hello, my name is Chris Hansen. I'm the host of Dayline NBC. I'll keep waiting."
No, because they have to be over 30.
There you go. And believe me, ladies and gentlemen, Wicked Nemesis does ID for reasons we won't talk about on here. However, no, I'm just... When Matt Hardy was on Ring of Honor and made that cameo appearance this week, and they just wanted to try to bestow the virtues of Matt Hardy, oh, God, please, can we move on? There are some people that don't need to be on television. Look, I don't dislike Matt Hardy as an individual. I just think on television he's horrible, especially talking. And I will say this right now in front of God and everybody. I would rather see Gregory Shane Helms back on television. Because A, he has a personality, and B, my God, he can work. Doesn't return phone calls for crap. But my God, he's a hell of a worker.
Yeah, but he'd have to take a pay cut to go back on TV.
Probably.
No problem with it. He would. The man's making over $1,000 per appearance. Why in the heck would he go and work for $300 at TNA and they can't even afford to pay your hotel room?
See,
all right, you're going to have to come in today, 5 minutes beforehand. You know, for as much crap as we give them, TNA is doing a heck of a job employing ex-TNA talent.
You mean ex-WWE talent?
No, ex-TNA talent. Their talent has left the building and been fired when Hogan showed up. It's like he sucked all of the energy out of everybody.
Because you knew.
And look at the comparisons, guys. Mabo, you are the guy I want to ask you about this more than anything.
Bring it.
We talked about TNA. We talked about Ring of Honor. We talk about how the TNA guys, quote-unquote, work, and how the Ring of Honor guys, quote-unquote, work. But it's two completely different styles. You have this fudgified nonsense that they do in TNA that they call wrestling, that they'll have one wrestling match and then they'll have some crap where they're trying to be sports entertainment but they're trying to be wrestling. Then they want to be wrestling and they want to be sports entertainment. Then you have Ring of Honor, who you have Kevin Steen dropping guys on their heads. You have these guys that go in and do like 15 freaking power bombs, pile driver off the top rope, but you win with a small package. win with a roll up. I mean, the guys, most of them, they want to do 15 spots. They want to put each other in like the worst submission moves in the world. So what does that say when one of these guys just throws you in a Fujiwara armbar and beats you? But yet you've got the guy completely contorted around looking like a pretzel. There's no psychology. So maybe I'm going to ask you first, and Eddie, I want your thoughts on this. The comparison between TNA and Ring of Honor. Is there any way for these people, because they're losing everybody right now, wrestling so down, and they're losing everybody's interest. Can you make can you back up what they're doing in TNA and what they're doing in Ring of Honor in these complete different styles, going against psychology?
Well, With Ring of Honor, they're trying to hold on to the last vestige of what they started out with, which was really being about professional wrestling when they first started. I think back in 2001, 2002, somewhere in that area. They're really trying to hold on to what brought them to the forefront, and that was actually wrestling. That was no storyline. There were really no true storylines. There were angles, whatever. They wrestled. That's what they did. They went out and they told a story. Yeah, they'd get a little spotty here and there because the majority of the roster were young guys at the time, young up and coming guys, and anybody who knows anything and knows any trends, that pretty much anybody that came up from late 90s, I would say even at some point today, but mainly late 90s up through, I'd say 2005, 2006, they wanted to emulate that Japanese strong style. The multiple false finishes, the vicious, is that a booger? The vicious, finishing, finishers or whatever, and then that's what they wanted to emulate. And unfortunately, that got out of control. And when they started, before they joined the Sinclair network, when they were on whatever the network was that they were first on, when they first got on TV, it was mainly like Northeast and crap.
We were changing Wicked over to a Skype.
But to me, they tried to take that just pure wrestling standpoint and try to transition it to television, and it's not working. I mean, they're having to go in a completely different direction, which I think they shouldn't have. I think they should have kept it pure wrestling. At one point, they had a title in Ring of Honor. It was called the Pure Champion, and it's just like they should have stuck with what they knew. It was something different. I can't really justify what they're doing right now. They're trying to be. They're not trying to be sports entertainment, but they're trying to be more television oriented, and it's not working. It's like trying to have an Amish electrician. It's just not going to happen.
Good one.
With TNA, to me, and especially here in the last year or two, it seems like they're wanting to bring back the Attitude Era. But I mean, you could tell by what they do, the language that's used, and I'm sure Hogan, sits there and walks around touting, hey brother, that's what the kids like. They like the foul language and the blood and everything. And
you just did a Bill Cosby.
Huh?
You just did a great Bill Cosby impersonation.
No, if I would have said something about Jello pudding if I was doing
Jello pudding pops.
But Hogan is so far out of touch. It's not even funny. A lot of the guys, a lot of the people who are backstage, who quote unquote run the show at TNA, are so far out of touch. It's like I said. I mean, WWE 13 came out this week. I was fortunate enough, and I will probably starve, but I took the money that I would have ate. I went and bought the game, and you relive the Attitude Era, and a lot of what they're flashing back to in this game is what TNA is trying to do. Not so much as storylines or whatever, but just the no pun intended, but the attitude. They're trying to say, hey, look, we're edgier. We're not so kid friendly. I swear, if they ever sit there and try to spin we're the big boys play or whatever, I'll personally stab one of them in the face. But it's just they are trying. It's like in high school, you had the cool kids Then you had the kids who tried too hard to be like the cool kids. I'm not saying WWE is the cool kids, but right now they are the popular kids. TNA is trying to be one of the popular kids by saying, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing. Look how edgy I am. Woo! You know, hey, look, there's Wicked Nemesis. Hey, there's every other manager in the wrestling business who wants to be Wicked Nemesis. You like that, didn't you? So that's what TNA is trying to do. They're trying to be the cool kid. They're trying to be edgy. When you know what? We don't need edgy. You know what we need in pro wrestling right now? We need to be told a story. We don't need cursing. We don't need unnecessary violence. We don't need, you know, storylines you think are edgy or are cool with adultery and all that stuff. I don't care about that. I don't care about some random street meat that, you know, may have slept with somebody and gave them crabs or whatever. Don't care. Don't care. That's not interesting to me. You know? So TNA needs to, what you know, we've said this before and we'll say this again. We'll probably say this till all three of us drop dead on the air. What brought TNA to real prominence was the X division and the Knockouts division. They had something different than what WWE was doing at the time. Hogan comes in. They even had the six-sided ring. They got rid of that. That was innovative. Must not have been easy to, you know, I mean, I'm not a, you know, pro wrestler. I've never, you know, the only time I've ever gotten in the ring was to take a picture. I know that couldn't have been an easy ring to, you know, to work in.
It's not.
But it was different. It made them stand out. The X division made them stand out. The Knockouts division made them stand out. Who they had, the homegrown talent they had made them stand out. Hogan came in and said, hey, you know what? I want to recreate, you know, one of probably the biggest era, aside from what they call the yellow foam finger era, one of the biggest eras ever in pro wrestling. That was the Attitude Era. Hogan was like, I want to recreate that. It's not going to work. We've moved on. This world has become too hardened and too embittered to sit there and go, wow, that is edgy. Oh, that's trendy. It's not. It's not. If 10 years from now Twitter is still around, I swear, or I'm sorry, if Tout is still around in 10 years, I got a feeling if Hogan's still running, if Hogan still has anything to do with TNA will start using Tout.
Dude, Hogan just created a MySpace 2 days ago.
Are you serious?
Think about it. Justin Timberlake bought MySpace. Come on, what do you think?
Hey, don't you say a damn word about Justin Timberlake. I will cut your balls off. That man is a golden god in pop music. Don't you ever say anything bad about JT. Ever.
Did I say anything bad about him? No, I just said he bought MySpace.
I'm just letting you know. Your only warning. One bad word about Justin Timberlake, I turn the tables over, and the heat is on. I'm just saying.
I'm bringing...
Eddie, your thoughts on TNA and Ring of Honor? Can you justify what they're doing? Because Mabel had some pretty good points. I think he said exactly what we've all said. Like he mentioned, what got them to the game is not what they're using today.
I'm bringing Wicked back. Okay, sorry, I had to do that one. I've had a chance to go over a couple of points in my head, and I want to write them down. I wrote them down, so let's go ahead. I'm going to run these rapid fire. Speaking of Lethal, remember, Lethal's dad threw the water first. I agree, spitting is crappy, spitting is wrong. He should not have done that, but to take a swing at Lethal's dad would have been just as bad. So there's no real way out of the situation other than just go ahead and say he could have flipped him off and then gone back to beating the hell out of Jay Lethal. That's my thought on that particular point. Number two, hold on, where is number two? Behind number one. Remember when Impact Wrestling was using the phrase, wrestling matters? Where the hell did that go? It went to hell in a handbasket with little green wheels and red hubcaps. Let me pick this up. Number three, I'm using Impact for a second. What do the Auburn football offensive coordinator up until yesterday, Tony Romo, anything with the name Kardashian, and Hulk Hogan have in common? They should be thrown off television.
They all have sex tapes?
Probably. They need to be thrown off television, out of the office, and off the schedule. Period. Sorry. Hogan is great for once a year, once every 6 years, a semi-annual appearance, kind of like the Victoria's Secret lingerie sale, which means Hogan's going to have another sex tape. But by the same token, should he be in that constant position of authority? No. I'm sorry. Don't like it, never have liked it, never will like it. That's just my personal opinion. Number 4, to Ring of Honor. 2 words. Traditional works. You don't have to do 100 freaking spots to convey the psychology you're trying to convey during a match. You're doing that through other means. So to come off and do a top rope Hurricane Rana, then turn around and do a sick flip pile driver, then do the Styles Clash, then do this, and have 5 false finishes, only to hit, and I agree with the roll-up idea, to do all that, then win by an inside cradle is stupid. Especially if your referee's not doing a fast count. If you have an inside cradle or a small package, you don't do the Scott Armstrong count. That's not 1,000, 1,000, 2,003. That's one. It takes me longer to kill a Bud Light than it does for Scott Armstrong to count 3. And it's always been that way. End of discussion. From that vantage point, I agree with Mabo. ROH is a shell of its former self. ROH is a shell of what it was when it first came on the Sinclair broadcast group. They are lost right now. They don't have the direction that they need. They're making it more like a spot show, outlaw show than it is a traditional wrestling promotion. They want to base themselves on the factor of honor, bring back the pure title. I appreciated that belt. Now, from that vantage point, you may agree, you may disagree. There is a manager. I would rather have Prince Nana back. I would rather they get rid of R.D. Evans, thank God. But the sooner they get rid of Truth Martini, who, in my opinion, overrated, overstated, and nothing more than a $1.50 carbon copy of what the Wicked Nemesis is, and who still can't come anywhere close to being the Wicked Nemesis. Sorry, I had to use your shoot name. There is a style of manager that works, and you know that when somebody is trying to copycat what they've seen or heard that somebody else does in another promotion. And I've said this without Wicked Nemesis on the air here. I've said this where he couldn't know that I said it, other than if he listened. I've watched Wicked work. He is a great manager. And no, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, because it's true. I've watched, I've listened, I've paid attention. And
I know what you're saying is the truth.
And I didn't take it from the book of truth either. But ROH...
Well, dude, just JJ, Eddie, I told JJ Tanner, I said, JJ, quit dressing like me.
There you go.
I said, thing you could have done. And the stuff about Truth Martini, you're 100% correct, sir. He is every single... Look. When I work a show with guys from Ring of Honor, they're like, dude, you do Truth Martini better than Truth. I said, well, hold on.
Truth Martini is imitating Wicked Nemesis.
7 years. 7 years. The only thing that's changed of me is I can work the camera from when I first started, and guys, I dress a hell of a lot better than what I used to.
Now,
but you've hit it 1,000 times. You guys have hit it 1,000 times.
Wait. I'm not done. I'm not done. There's 3 more things I want to hit. Let's go to for ROH. Find a compass, find a carrier pigeon, find a GPS, find something, and get a solid direction on how the product should go. Hodgepodge flea market shows do not work for long, and I'm sorry, up until last night, even though last night was a variable flea market, it really was. Last night was one of the better shows ROH has had in a while, but up until last night's episode, the previous 7 weeks have been nothing more than a garage sale, and it's better than that. ROH is better than that. They need something to re-guide and re-gear and redirect it back to where it should be. Then I moved to TNA real quick. Number 1, clean out the damned office. Clean out the booking office. Clean out creative. Get some more. Get different people in there. I could write better crap than what TNA's doing right now, and that's a shoot. I really could, because I have respect for the talent that's in the ring busting their ass, and I know I would learn what they're capable of doing. I'd know what they're able to do on and off a microphone, in and out of in front of a camera, and inside the squared circle where it really freaking counts. Which moves me to the second point. Concentrate on the in-ring action. Cut the bullshit. Concentrate on what brought you to the dance. It's called total nonstop action. Guess what? That means wrestling. It's not sport entertainment. It's wrestling. I agree wholeheartedly, and I was one of the ones sitting back. And remember, when Dixie Carter held that big that YouTube press conference or whatever it was, Mike Tenay asked the question that I submitted on behalf of Beyond Ringside. I still have that audio clip and video clip. When can we see a true refocus and emphasis on the X Division and the X Division Championship? Putting Rob Van Dam as the X Division champion right now is not going to be the savior of the X Division. Kenny King would not be the savior of the X Division. Austin Aries is not the savior of the X Division because they can't keep a roster in place in the X Division long enough, with the exception of Zima Zion, or what, I'm not going to screw up his name, Zima Ion. I'm not going to pick on him any more than everybody else already has. Granted, the kid's horrible in the ring. He hurts people. Come on. If he hurts one person, forgive him. If he hurts two, there's a trend starting. Fire his ass. Get somebody in there in that X Division who knows how to run and knows how to work smart and work safe. From that vantage point, quit bringing in all the God-blessed ex-WWE talent. Vince fired them or let them go for a reason. That doesn't mean that they're going to bring positive ratings to your product. TNA was founded on the factor of building, developing, and cultivating their own stars, and every once in a while bringing in somebody from the E or another obscure organization. They need to get back to homegrown. Sometimes smoking homegrown ain't a bad idea, and it normally gets the job done a hell of a lot cheaper than going out for sticky, stanky. Get the point? I think you do. The wrap-ups...
That's your best joke ever. So.
Huh? Say what?
So that was your best joke ever, I'm sorry.
Okay. From there to Impact Wrestling, don't try to be WWE, because some people are sick of seeing it. It's on the air now 5 times a week. There's a reason why they have a rotating door for those other 1 and 2 shows, because people get tired of seeing the shit. See what I mean? And I'm leaving. By the way, I'm not doing post-production. I just said chains are off as far as everything but the F-bomb and GD. And the final thing that I want to say to ROH, the final thing that I want to say to Impact Wrestling, is the same thing that I would say to any other promoter and have said to a couple. Catch your own lightning in a bottle. Don't try to catch somebody else's. You can't recreate the formula. Vince McMahon brought back ECW, WWECW, because he was sick and tired of hearing ECW chants at a WWE show. Vince McMahon revived ECW to kill ECW. That's the only reason why he did it. Not to give everybody else on the roster a fair chance to work. Look what he did and how he did it. Go back and watch it. I was saying this when the show first was thought about revival, when they were going to bring back ECW. Vince McMahon recreated ECW to kill ECW, to make it rest in peace, so he could rest in peace without hearing the chants at his shows. So quit trying to be WWE. Don't try to be ECW. Be your own company. Create your own identity that the fans, the people who pay their hard-earned effing money to come see your shows, can identify with. Okay, I'm done. Hey guys, did I miss anything?
Maybe I was going to ask you, what would you do to correct Ring of Honor and TNA? Eddie told us his already, so.
Well, I kind of touched on it a little bit before, but I would take it back to what made them, a standout, and eventually, at one point in my mind, made them the, number 3 company in the United States, and that was, take it back down to the purest level of what it was. Take it back down to wrestling, because that's what they were known for. They weren't known, they never set out to make stars. The people who they put in the ring, who they let wrestle, they made themselves into stars by showing what they could do. And people could sit there and be like, well, they made Ring of Honor made Samoa Joe a star. No, Samoa Joe made Samoa Joe a star. CM Punk made CM Punk a star. AJ made AJ a star in Ring of Honor. Christopher Daniels made Christopher Daniels a star, because those guys were doing stuff long before Ring of Honor, but Ring of Honor gave them the chance to showcase their talent, and that's why when all these other companies came in and swooped them up. But take it back down to the purest wrestling level. Get rid of the stupid storylines or whatever. I'm trying to take over the company, blah blah blah. I'm just here to piss Jim Cornette off or what have you. Make it back to being about wrestling. If you want to sit there and incorporate the Japanese style of working, that's fine. If you want to do the strong style, if you want to sit there and take take all these massive kicks and then just shrug them, take them and then just fire back, that's fine. But don't. It's all right when you have just awesome move after awesome move after awesome move, strong finisher and then kick out. But that makes it mean, only do it when it means something. Only do it if the title's on the line. If something of importance is on the line, whether it be title, career, reputation, whatever, make that mean something. But don't finish it up with, unless it's like Eddie said, unless it's the quick count like RVD and Jerry Lynn. We all remember the matches they used to put on ECW. 1-2 and switch, 1-2 switch, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and then end it with a roll up. That would be fine, just like Eddie said. But don't sit there and then hit jumping pile drivers off the top rope through a table and then kick out, only to have somebody win with a schoolboy. And that holds no real meaning. I mean, unless it was like a distraction. Now, if there's a distraction or whatever, but if you think before you execute, that's what they really need to do. They need to think before they execute. What are the ramifications of this spot? What are the ramifications overall in the telling of the story? Ring of Honor, those guys that they used to have, they could tell stories in the ring, make you feel something. Have you standing up, chanting ROH, stand up chanting, whoever those guys are, whoever was in the match, whatever. I've been to a couple of Ring of Honor shows before, they got on television, and it was a completely different feel. So they need to I'm not saying get rid of anybody, because I think they've got a hell of a roster. To me, right now, one of the best tag teams in the world. They're goofy as hell, but the Briscoes,
Jay and Mark,
those guys. Oh my God, I cannot watch. I think it's Jay Briscoe, whichever the one's missing the teeth. I think that's Jay. I cannot look at him and not laugh because he is so damn goofy. But at the same time, those guys busted their asses for years in Ring of Honor and Jersey All Pro and CZW, and they make for good television, but at the same time, they don't need a convoluted storyline or anything like that. But take it back down to the purest level. You don't have to get rid of any of your talent. Tremendous talent. Davey Richards is another example. Davey Richards, not really the best on the mic, but a tremendous in-ring talent. Take it back down to that pure. Take it back down to what you start with. Pull off, all the fancy garnishing, and take it back down to that simple meal that you had that made everybody stand up and take notice. That's all you got to do.
I got to ask a question. I got to ask the Wicked Nemesis. Who is the ROH television champion? Without looking
Probably
it up.
Davey Richards.
Nope, not Davey Richards. Mabo?
I know. It's Mike Bennett.
No, it's not.
Wait. The TV champion?
Yes.
A white guy.
Pretty much. Adam Cole.
That's right. I forgot. Yeah.
Formerly one half of Future Shock, which was developing into a decent tag team, with the exception of that one night in particular where they absolutely sucked against Alabama Attitude. Yet a certain internet writer who thought he had a freaking clue about pro wrestling wanted to say that Mike Posey and Corey Hollis were a couple of greenies. To you, maybe, but not to the rest of us with an IQ above cabbage.
Hold on. Before we give that guy any lip service,
I'm not giving his name.
Say something. Guys, let me tell you what I would do really quick to Ring of Honor TNA.
Go ahead.
Stop having writers. Go back to having agents. Not producers, as TNA wants to call them, agents. Have a guy say, hey, this is what I want. You tell a veteran, usually a manager, that manager goes and say, this is what he wants. You guys put it together. There you go. I've just cut out a big overhaul on everybody, and as Eddie, you were maybe once, I think it was you, Eddie, that said it, stop trying to be WWE.
Yeah.
This is not Japan, guys. You want to go do a quote-unquote strong style, take your ass to Japan. Nobody gives a crap about that over here. You hit somebody with 15 lariats, 15 running clotheslines, and they don't bump, they don't fall. You know what that does to the guys that are flipping through the TV? They say, I'm not watching that shit. Click. It's not going to sell over here. You want to do that strong style, go to Japan. Mabo, you are correct on what they're doing. That strong style, as it's called, was it Pursuo? What is it?
Resu.
Yeah, that crap don't fly here. It does not sell in you know, it sells on DVDs. It's good for internet, but you cannot rationale putting, you know, doing the stuff that they do. You're going to stand there in the middle of the ring and exchange elbows with a guy. You're going to hit each other in the face 15 times. You know what, guys? The first time he hits me with the elbow, you know what I'm going to do as a heel? Rake his eyes, kick him in the nuts, something. I'm not going to go toe-to-toe with him. That's stupid. You want to see somebody go toe-to-toe and beat the crap out of each other? Go watch UFC.
Yeah.
Go watch boxing. There you go. You guys, that's my idea. I'm sorry, I didn't mention it. Future sucks. That first match they ever had on Ring of Honor World TV, National TV, first match ever. Those guys do all of that. The guy gets hit with a super kick, hit with a power bomb, a double T move, and then he wins!
Yeah, I know.
With an inside cradle!
But see,
you can't justify that. That's not traditional wrestling.
You're right. And
I'm sorry, I just had a coronary. Ah!
But see, here's the thing. The reason why I ask about the television championship, look, ROH, and here's where I will say this about Impact. They will give the tag titles and the main title credence, and occasionally, normally once every other week, the Knockouts title. And when Devon had the television title, at least it was visible and in the ring every week. I don't see the television title on ROH. You know something? Okay, and I'm going to bring, here's that word again, traditional values. Remember when the Crockett NWA World Championship Wrestling was one of the hottest things going? They had the television title holder in the ring every week defending, to the point where the television champion as a heel was more over than the damn world champion, because all the world champion would do was come out there and talk for 10 minutes. And be in ring once every 6 weeks, depending on exactly what storyline involved the Four Horsemen at the time. Arn Anderson or Tully Blanchard would be in the ring defending the damn belt. You know something? Maybe that ain't a bad idea. Maybe it's not a bad idea to have your World Tag Team Champions, Scum, on camera every once in a while on every episode. Not in ring, not in main event matches. Rotate it. Because according to ROHWrestling.com, Adam Cole defeated Roderick Strong on 6/29/12. The last title defense that they have him showing is September 13th. Look, I know they do a crap ton of tapings every time they go to the Burns Arena. But by God, if they're going to do if they need to feature the champions. Whether it be interviews, whether it be smash match enhancement talent matches, or just show up, wave, show the belt, and leave. Do the Pope thing. Or do Michael Jackson in Birmingham when he came through getting ready for the Victory Tour. Come running out on the balcony, wave to everybody, and run back in. I remember seeing that on NBC 13 years ago. But, see, I don't get it. They've drifted, and I don't understand why. They had a great thing going, and then all of a sudden, it just all went to caca. Who's up? Mabo?
Well,
He's masturbating to midget porn again, kids.
No.
No, but I wanted to ask you guys that because I presented that forward, and I also got to ask you guys a question because I asked this: who do you guys think is the scariest wrestler of all time? We had some great, you know, we did the Masked Mabo. I think Jushin Thunder Liger actually won it because we had about 8 people mention Jushin. I thought Mil Mascaris or Rey Mysterio would actually win that. But I want to ask you guys this because I did. Scariest wrestler of all time, because we've all seen those guys. We've all been around some scary individuals, and we all know those guys. You're like, you know what? If we were in a dark alley, I'd probably stab your ass just right off the bat, just before you could ever do anything to me. Mabo.
Well, if I was just starting out in the business back in the early '80s, I'd say Pat Patterson.
Ah!
But honestly, the scariest person, and this guy legitimately. You're gonna laugh when I tell you who it is. This guy unnerves me, and I don't know why. But Loki, Senshi, whatever Kaval, that guy, for some reason, legitimately unnerves me.
He has that Charles Manson mass murderer look to him. In his eyes.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he. Huh?
That's it. He really believes he is a mass murderer. He talks. He's always in gimmick, Mabo.
I think that's what unnerves me. It's the voice, first of all, because one of the first Ring of Honor shirts I ever. Oh, hello.
I'm in creepy clown mode. Sorry.
Don't make me play Mr. Tinker Train again.
No, creepy clown. Go ahead, sir.
One of the first Ring of Honor shows I ever went to. I didn't realize he was standing next to me, and he just I believe it was Homicide. Homicide hadn't, gotten as known as he had at the time, but they were standing outside, and we were filing into the arena, and all of a sudden, low-key just busts out with that voice, "I got T-shirts, $20," and it literally unnerved me, and every time I've seen him since, whether it be for Ring of Honor, he did a couple of shows for a local company here in Alabama. It literally, my butthole slammed shut. I pee a little bit. I break out in a nervous sweat, and I don't even want to get. I have a picture. I had to. A friend literally coerced me into doing it. He's with the threat of smothering me in mayonnaise, that to go take a picture with him, and he's low-key was all just he's calm and cool and all that stuff, and me, you could literally see me just tense. The guy unnerves me, and like I said, I didn't know if you meant scariest as far as a gimmick or anything, or just who I thought legitimately was a scary individual. Well, low-key scares the ever-living poop out of me.
I have a tie. Now, I'm going back days on this, so I'm older than y'all, so I can get away with this. If you're now, let me ask for a definition of your term "scariest," please, Wicked.
We're talking about intimidating, not necessarily. Now, we've had that discussion about looks-wise, because of course you guys know who I said was the scariest wrestler of all time, Ox Baker. So that was mine, and to me, he encapsulates both of them. But just in general, because we were going with the whole Halloween theme, and it kind of, we've heard Big Van Vader was another one that I had mentioned that I thought was in-ring work-wise. But either way, I mean, who would be, if you were a guy just breaking into the business and you had to go up against somebody, who would you not want to be? I guess.
Okay, like I said, in no particular order, but this is in theory a tie. One, Bruiser Brody, because if I'm watching him work, I'm going, how insane is this turkey? I'm just like, and he's just so scary, huge, and strong on his own. When he can gorilla press somebody 300 pounds without that person posting to begin with, come on. 2, Abdullah the Butcher, because I don't know where the hell that fork's been. Number 3, another person who is just scary strong, and you see the look in his eye, and you start to worry, and that would be Stan Hansen. Also, the original Sheik, Ed Farhat, just had the ability to sell it. And if you're a greenie in this business,
you're mentioning everybody that somebody mentioned. We had like 15 people tweet us and stuff. You're mentioning everybody that's scary. Who was the scariest? The one. Not just, don't mention every scary person, individual in the business, because we'd have to mention Bishop.
John Cena.
There you go. John Cena.
No, in all sincerity, honestly, it would have to be Abdullah.
Abdullah was pretty much the person that got the most. Nobody mentioned Ox besides myself. We had a George Animal Steel.
Well, see, you cut me off before I could get to Ox because he was originally my number 3.
Yeah, but you're going down 3. I said 1. I said 1.
But I said tie too.
Not hey, if you could start a Survivor Series team of scary people, Eddie, and big props to Team Ohio Valley for making a Survivor Series this year. Ohio Valley in the house, woo!
See, here's the thing. Now, I'm trying to remember. Were both of y'all on the? Were both of y'all sitting in the night that we interviewed Ox Baker for an hour here?
Yeah, it was my birthday. It was the night of the wreck when the van got destroyed.
I couldn't remember what night it was, Wick. It's been a while. I've had sleep and Diet Coke since then, which I haven't drank. I haven't actually, honestly, I have not drank a Diet Coke in a year.
And a hot dog.
And a hot dog. I did have the hot dog last night. No, back in Bell City, I did have the hot dog. Hey guys, did I miss anything? But
no, go away.
I know it.
Ted. Go ahead, sir.
No, but seriously, I mean, I would have to say Abdullah, because if I'm a greenie in this business, I am just scared to mortal hell. I mean, he is so quiet and soft-spoken backstage, but when you get Abby out there, and you legitimately have to wonder, yeah, Abby Normal. Thank you, Marty Feldman. Thank you, Gene Wilder, and thank you, Mel Brooks. Young Frankenstein, still one of the a must-see movie. But I would have to say Abdullah, my scariest person of all time in this industry.
And as I said when that was mentioned, was a not hell of a cook though. Great restaurant.
Great ribs.
Great ribs. Great soul food. Korean. Cream of some young guy. Whatever it is he has there.
I thought Mabo would say something like that, not you. Okay, tell you what, we're at 43. We're at 43 after. I got to do this first, and I haven't done the reset in a while, so I apologize for that. You're listening to Beyond Ringside Sunday Night Edition. We've actually gone an hour and 15 without a commercial break because, damn it, sometimes we just have that much fun, and the computer screws up, and I just get tired of screwing with the damn thing. However, Fast Eddie Lane, Mark Mabo Bowman, the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis on a Sunday night, Taskmaster, Daryl B, and to everybody who's been coming in and out of the chat room over on the Ustream side, thank you so much. To everybody who's been catching us up over on Twitter, thank you so much, greatly appreciated. Facebook fan page, new ads every day, new people liking the fan page, thank you so much. To everybody who has been catching the replays on Ustream and YouTube, thank you so much. Greatly appreciated. Now, Wicked, I know you're still retweeting. Wicked, both of y'all are still, Mark also retweeting the, or posting the link to the YouTube episodes, right?
No, I'm sorry. Yes, every time that you upload a YouTube or everything, I upload it. I actually have a program now. As long as you don't put up something that gets tagged for third-party content, everybody's able to listen to them. I uploaded a few The To Be Determined shows and some shoot finishes to my YouTube. But anytime you put it up on podcast now, I can download it and upload it. But it can only be with one picture, and most of the time it's going to be a picture of me. I'm just warning you. But the Casey Carlisle picture video is up, sir, from last week. And if you put this one up, as soon as you put it on YouTube, because obviously you have no idea how to tag it because you have like 5 views and I already have like 42, it will be up my YouTube immediately.
Let's see.
And for you, Mabo is real. Mabo is real.
Yeah, Mabo is very real. And speaking of, let's go ahead and go for it. Last call, Mark Bowman.
I want to go poop.
Mark's nuts.
Okay, fine. Last call. Eddie Wicked. Who should I make, or who should I put in my WWE 13 creator wrestlers?
Pandora. Dominate the women's division.
Mr. Blur, dominate the women's division?
He does, and by division you mean anuses.
Pretty much.
Hagen's going to kill you, Eddie.
What are you talking about? We have this running gag, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Ew, I don't want to know about you gagging at each other.
Yeah, he gags.
What, when you take your shirt off?
Pretty much.
The vest.
Anyway, let's just hurry up. We got like 15 minutes for the Deadgum Walking
Wicked
Dead.
Nemesis, last call.
Ladies and gentlemen, I guess it may just be a southern thing, but this past week we lost a hell of an individual. Brad Armstrong was a man that knew nobody. He knew everybody. There were no strangers in the business to him. If he saw something in you, if he saw that those intangibles, as they say, he would go of his way to speak to you and, hey, how's it going, kid? There's not many guys like him. Now, it was talked about, it was kind of, scuzzlebutt or whatever, that Scott Armstrong is going to start back working because his kids saw some of his work on the internet and want to see him wrestle. Whoa, let me tell you guys, the world is in for it. Scott Armstrong is one of the best Armstrongs. I'm sorry to say, he is phenomenal. Guys, we lose them too often. The good die young. Go out, make sure, and it was fitting that Brad's last words Saturday night when he worked at GCW were, go out, hug your families, hug your loved ones, because you never know when it's going to end. You never know when it's going to end. We all lost a tremendous individual, but his name will live on forever. Every time you see a Russian leg sweep, or as I've called it years ago, commentating one of his matches, the Armstrong side leg sweep, he will be there. Guys, it was awesome today. It was more of a celebration than anything. Brad, you're gone, sir, but you're still missed, sir.
Brad Armstrong, big, giant wrestling ring full of wind. He will be missed.
Full of it. Yes, sir.
We did do a 10-bell salute last night to Brad because a lot of people may not know that one of Brad's last appearances was with Global Championship Wrestling in Pell City for Fall Brawl. And to be able to hang out with Brad one more time and a little reminiscing, little small talk, it meant the world. And Brad and I've always had a great friendship. I would have given anything to have been able to be there today, but real life circumstances keep bashing me in the nuts. So, and this week has probably been qualified as probably one of my worst weeks ever. Normally December is the month in which I'm cursed. Tonight, this time it's November, and it started on November 1st. Once again, I said it a little while ago when I closed out the segment, Brad, you are loved, you are respected, and I miss you, my friend. I miss my friend. But you will never be forgotten. Plain and simple. And like I said, when we did the 10-bell last night, I will admit to breaking down. I'm sorry. I'm like that when I lose a good friend. But I managed to regroup, and put it back into gear because that's the way it should be done. And that's the way that Bradley would have kicked me in the ass and said, dude, you got a job to do. Let's go rock this show. Not necessarily always that same word, but still by the same token, hey, we all have our own unique methods. Wicked Nemesis and 157 F-bombs on the way to the wake. From that vantage point, thank you to everybody who came out last night to GCW. It was an honor, it was a privilege, and I genuinely stand beside those comments and those words. They are not just words, they are me, and they are the truth. It's an honor for me to be able to come out there and cut up, goof off, have fun, and do what I do best. Show off. Plain and simple. Looking forward to November 17th when we return to Pell City, Alabama for a November to Remember. And in the semi-main event, the GCW Tag Team Championships, Global Championship Wrestling Tag Team titles, will be on the line as Full Throttle defend against the Unlucky Charms, Chris Knox, Damon Christopher, as managed by my cohort on this show, the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis. And I will say this, I got a lot of respect for all four men in that match. For the wrestling fans in the central, eastern Alabama areas and western Georgia, if you can make it out on November 17th, I guarantee you this, you are going to see one hell of a tag team championship match. And being able to catch the Wicked Nemesis in living color, walking, running, limping, or hobbling very daintily and gingerly
yes, I was,
is worth the price of admission. And I said this earlier, and I will say it again, my friend. I was busy running audio for the first half of the Battle Royal on the GCW episode. If you caught the show this morning at 1 a.m. on CW21,
Yeah, we laughed the entire way. 3 o'clock in the morning, we were up laughing at y'all.
And I have to sit back and say this. Wicked, Ted, dude, abso-freaking-lutely incredible job. I haven't had a chance to catch the rest of the outing yet, and I didn't get a chance to listen to the audio production before I turned it over. But guys, y'all rock the walls, and being able there were times when I just stood back and let y'all run. It's just like, shit, they got this. I'm going to shut up for a minute. But I will say this, Wicked, it was obvious to me that you were working in pain. Dude, I respect your work ethic. I genuinely do. You and I are cut from the same cloth in this regard. And Mabo, you've proven the fact that you ride along with us in every aspect of the phrase. We don't know what it's like to not work hurt, because we're going to go out there and work. And if you notice the fact that we're hurt, that's fine. That's great. That's wonderful. But you know something? We got a job to do, and by God, we're going to do it. And I could tell that Wicked was Wicked had a surgical procedure done on the day before the show. And dude, my hat's off to you for being able to stand and do that job.
God, it hurt so bad. I was like, maybe I better be here to see this. I'm in so much pain.
That's what, dude, when I saw the last time and when you were really grimacing, that's when I just said, dude, let me and Ted take it from here. We got it. It's okay. Go sit down. I respect the fact that you did it for as long as you did, but I couldn't stand to see you in pain another second. And I was trying, I mean, you remind me too much of me in that regard. It's like, I've got 104 fever. I've got it coming out of both ends. I'm sweating like I could grow rice, and I've still got to do this job. And you know something? I'm going to, by God, do it. But like I said, many major props and much respect to Wicked for the performance, or for the job that night. And I'm looking forward to having you back out there on the 17th, dude. To be able to get you back ringside, let you do what you do best, and that is manage.
In the championship match, oh boy.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Folks, real quick, want to remind you that we're going to keep everybody posted on the situation with the 24/7 channel as everything changes and gets brought back up to speed. I may try to reset Shoutcast in a different direction so that we can get 24/7 back up and going in a different capacity. But to everybody at Server Room, the company that I use for our 24/7 channel, they have been kind, they have been courteous, they have been professional, and I thank you. And you know something? This is something on which we all agree. In this day and time, professionalism means more than you ever know, and it is appreciated. Mabo, real quick, shameless plug, 7 minutes.
All right, I'm not really doing shameless plugs because I don't feel well, but I'm going to turn it over to my good friend. He just stopped by, Harrison Ford. I'm going to get Harrison Ford to do my shameless plugs for me. So, cool. Harrison, if you take it away. Twitter, MA_BO, Facebook, Mark Open, the Penitent Man, Hillsborough, God, Penitent Man. Thank you, Harrison.
Are you going to throw to Wicked, or do you want me to?
Hold on, you want to get Al Pacino to throw to Wicked?
Yes.
All right, Al, are you in the room? Come on now, with the Wicked Nemesis. Shameless plugs.
Ladies and gentlemen, this Saturday, we will be in Buchanan, Georgia, for Universal Independent Wrestling. The Common Knowledge, the Subconscious Samurai. I've lost it. Damon Christopher against Mason the Demigod. I cannot speak right now. That was awesome.
Who was?
Against Mason the Demigod. This is going to be a heck of a match. Chris Knox, the primal Chris Knox, will be with us, so you never know what's going to happen. Can't wait to see Calm Like a Bomb Pandora against Nina Monet there as well. That's going to be awesome, because guess what? They wrestled at Rampage today and stole the show and got a standing ovation. Very rarely do you see a women's match get a standing ovation, so kudos to those two ladies. You can contact me on Twitter at Wicked Nemesis, Enoch Tessarian, on Facebook, The Unlucky Charms, The Merchants of Death, all have Facebook fan pages, as does the Wicked Nemesis. YouTube, as I said, the To Be Determined Show, Shoot Finish, and of course, where it all started, Beyond Ringside. Several videos up. of past interviews. So thank you all that take the time to listen to Beyond Ringside, to the To Be Determined show, which is Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, TNT-radio.net. The Walking Dead coming up very, very soon. Go out and support your local independent wrestling. At Damon Christopher, at Chris_BFit_Knox on Twitter. Hit these guys up. At Jim Diva, thank you. And Tasha Simone and Christy Ricci. And of course the Rockettes last night, kudos. 2 great women's matches. Women's wrestling is still out there.
Amen. Yours truly at
let me do David Bowie for you. Hey Eddie, it's your time now. Come on and give us some shout outs.
I should do the damn thing as Adamant, but however, and I'll strip for you if you strip for me, but not to you guys, okay? Cute redhead I saw last night, different story. However, at Fast Eddie Lane over on Twitter, LAYNE, Facebook.com/FastEddieLane, and FastEddieLane.com is rebuilding and present and accounted for. Thanks for playing. At Beyond Ringside, one word, run it all together, over on Twitter. Facebook.com/Beyond Ringside Live is the fan page. Please like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and BeyondRingside.com is up and going full steam. Current episodes, recent episodes, and interviews are available for podcast through you can catch us through iTunes. Thank you to everybody who's been tuning in. 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern, 4:30 Mountain, 3:30 Pacific. Congratulations to the new NWA heavyweight champion, the Tokyo Monster Kahagas. We will be having him on the show in the very near future. From that vantage point, thank you again to Casey Carlisle and Christy Ricci for coming on the show previous days. Absolute pleasure to speak with both ladies. Folks, we're going to be back at it next Sunday night, 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern. You heard the times, and like I said, we genuinely enjoy having fun with everybody. The Walking Dead comes on in 90 seconds. Global Championship Wrestling's GCW Radio comes on in 1 hour from now. Check out GCWPro.com, and you can find the links. We'll see you next Sunday, 5:30. For Mark Mabo Bowman.
Life is for the living, don't you know?
For the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis.
Yeah, that's right. It's so weird. It's so weird right now. Yeah.
You sound like the Travolta-esque incarnation from the Jimmy Neutron series on that.
Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, so weird.
Honest, Jimmy, you have my full undivided attention. Ooh, mosquito.
This is the Magic City Motor Mouth, Fast Eddie Lane, host and moderator for this insane asylum, saying adios, das vidania, hasta luego, auf Wiedersehen, ciao, sayonara, adieu, arrivederci, farewell, abbasinio, au revoir, and until we meet again. Aloha means bye-bye. I don't know how they can make it better. They can put naked women on there.
If any of you ladies out there want to give up the balloon knot to the Wicked Nemesis, let him do it.
Mabo's hair is so long.
How long is it?
If you go to Rubik's Cube, it'll actually fix it for you.
Dude, I had the perfect idea. We need to come up with a virtual Rubik's Cube where one color on each side changes every 90 seconds.
That's so weird. That's so weird. Oh, Walking Dead. My VCR's recording.
Walking Dead. Dude, I've got to see the new James Bond movie. That's all there is to it. Skyfall looks like it's going to be good.
Just kneel before the penitent man.
Penitent man? Hell, I want to find a penitent woman.
Play with a rusty wagon wheel.
Her leathery Cheerio.
Easter eggs done. We're out. Bye for now. Hey, Nissan, don't steal my music beds, assholes.
This has been a Filmways presentation. To be a